Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to take 2 of week 7 here on Technical Alpha. It is Friday, April the 28th, 2017, all day, just like it was 17 minutes ago before Panic sounded like he had gone backwards through puberty yet again, and unfortunately was partially a robot. So we've gone past that stage now. Everything's cleared up as much as we can. We've applied the steroid cream to affected areas, and we are starting back up yet again. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to the podcast. This week we've got me apparently in a dark room, which I will worry about after we pass this on to other people to talk. My webcam's just particularly dark right now, and I have no idea why it decided to do that. Every week's a new challenge here at Technical Alpha. You just never know what you're going to get. This week we've got a good lineup for you. Exciting things, big movers and shakers, things happening in the land of video games and otherwise. But before we do, Mr. MaximusBlack.
Yeah.
Hit me up with the sound of finally beating that old school game that's been burning a hole in your back catalog for 20 years.
Yes! That's simple.
That's as hard as it gets. That's as hard as it gets, if you know what I'm saying. We've got lots to talk about, but as a segue,
before we do, look at these motherfucking shirts we're wearing today, boys.
They can't see mine. So hold on one second.
My name
They literally can't see mine.
All right, well, Panic can show off his shirt, and it's identical to Adam's shirt.
It's gonna happen.
Panic has got that old school micro your macro, that limited edition shit. All those LAGTV fans that have been here at the very start knows all about that shirt. Some of you guys have. We actually sold quite a few. Adam has got the same one. I'm being a little shameless today. I've got my own shirt on.
Don't worry. I've got my own sweater.
I always wear your
sweater.
So we're good. I'm always sporting your sweater.
It's a good sweater.
So I need to get I got a scarf, so that's all I got. I was way too hot for that. So.
I actually don't own a micro your macro. I have Sour About Life.
I have that one. No, I don't actually. I don't have that one. I have this one. I have one other, and I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, that's some old school shit right there.
Yeah, that's like real old school stuff, and I saw Panic, and I was like, well, now I have to go upstairs and find my friggin' t-shirt. Gotta dig through all my stuff.
Pretty soon, we'll end up having our Technical Alpha t-shirt or sweater that will be available, and also to those on Patreon that get the item that we give out, they'll receive that for free as part of the package as well. Panic also ordered everything. It's all ordered.
It's in production now.
Yep, so we'll be receiving that soon. Yeah. Also, I know I mentioned this last week before we get into this podcast. To those that got the hit me up with that noise, I need you to check your PMs on Patreon and send me what you want. I only got like 4 of them, and there's much more than 4. So I need everybody to do that. If I don't hear from everybody by the, beginning of next month, I'll send out an email to each one of you to see if I can get them. But if not, I'll just do the ones I have, and then when people send them,
some people just want to throw money at your face and don't give a damn about the stuff that comes with it. I found that out.
Somebody paid for something. I want to deliver on it, but I'm not. People are just not responding.
I went through this exact same scenario with my Game Wisp, where I have a thing still where certain levels get an audio clip from me. And so this is the exact same scenario, and I've had to do like 4 in the last 2 years.
Well, there you go.
So it's just some people just they just want to give you money, which I'm perfectly okay with. I wish it worked like that when I was just walking around downtown. If people were just giving me money, I'd be pretty happy about it. We have one other special announcement. I don't even know if Panic knows about this yet. To be completely honest,
he doesn't know about it.
Okay. Panic, buckle up, Buttercup. We've got another
I know
announcement.
about it, but I have no idea what it is. I just see words, and I'm just like,
okay.
Go with it.
So Jeff and I talked about this after last week's podcast, and we were trying to figure out more ways to bring more value to as many tiers of the Patreon page as possible. Because right now, a lot of the value is in like the physical goods that Panic is handling right now, that's in production and whatnot. And people certainly do like their physical stuff, but I know a lot of people are also just interested in getting, more and varied content for their money when possible. And so last Friday, and then even a couple of Fridays ago before that, we've been bouncing ideas around as to what we could do to bring more value to that $5 mark. Now, Panic, don't have a heart attack, because you literally don't have to lift a single solitary Mexican finger. You can just keep tilling the garden. You're good to go.
How many Mexican fingers?
But yeah, what Jeff and I have decided that we are going to do is for anybody at the $5 and higher. So this is literally everybody short of the dollar club, the dollar menu. $5 and higher. Jeff and I are going to do a retro versus series. We are going to get together. And we are going to see that for those, no, this doesn't play to those on iTunes, but if you go to youtube.com/LifeSglitchTV and watch this podcast there, you'll be able to see behind Mr. Black his giant wall of retro games. He has a whole whack of them back there, ranging from all sorts of different consoles, and time periods. And the idea is we are going to randomly, blindfolded, pick a game from that shelf. And then we are going to sit down and play it for anywhere from, 30 minutes to an hour to whatever it is. If it's good and we just keep going for longer than usual, then we'll do it. We don't have any plans on beating every single game we play. We're just going to sit down, pull a random game off, and it will be Jeff and I playing games. Retro on that wall.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I collect retro video games. Yard sale season has started, so I'm sure you'll hear lots about that during the podcast throughout the summer. But I do collect a lot of retro, anything from Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo, PlayStation 2, PS1, N64, whatever the case may be. We're going to go blindfold. We're going to pick a game at random. We're going to play it till we rage quit or we're just done with it. If it's a single-player game, we'll take turns. We'll do whatever. If it's a two-player game, we'll load up to 2 players. Adam and I will be together in my basement, so we will get together. Adam will come over. This will be separate content, and it will be available to anybody that is $5 and above. So if you're the $1 guy out there already in, you can substitute it up, move up to $5 to get into that if it interests you. If you're not interested, no worries. Think of it as DLC, I guess. But we're just trying to figure out ways to give you guys more value on Patreon, and then also allow us to get closer to those stretch goals, which I think this will probably help out a lot. And that way we don't need to bombard our YouTube with content. It will be directly on Patreon for those people, and it's a great way to support Adam and I, because guess what? Now we're not even making money off YouTube.
No,
Legit.
Because today we unceremoniously got the big fuck you from Maker, and none of our channels are covered anymore. So,
yeah, we don't even get YouTube paychecks anymore.
We don't even have that. We don't even get that $200 check anymore.
No, we
literally
don't get it.
Without ads. So
yeah, that's the plan. I know a lot of people really like the LAGTV Versus. Many people have asked for it. It's just going to be Adam and I. Panic, you're fucked. You're not wanted here. We love you though.
Get fucked.
Now it's more of like we just want to bring some LAGTV content. It's a place we get together, produce some old retro shit, and we'll be using the actual consoles too. So none of it's going to be ROMs. We're going to go right to the wall and pick it at random. And like Adam said, it'll last from 30 minutes to however long. So that's our plan on that. We'll tell you more. We're recording starting next Friday, and we'll tell you more when we get there.
If we get up to a certain level, I'll fly out to Halifax.
Oh,
stretch goals, $30 million, and we'll get Panic in. I was being told that I was far louder than you guys right now. I turned myself down a bunch on OBS because there shouldn't be any difference. Otherwise, I have no idea what's going on there. Anyway, every week is a new experience, like I said, here on Technical Alpha. So there, we have covered our sellout. Now we can move on to our first major topic of the day, gentlemen. And that is, I'm going to be honest, okay? I'm going to be honest. When I saw this, and I watched the trailer, for the first time in years, I internally said, you know what? You have my interest. It's not much, but it's there. And I'm talking about Call of Duty World War II, where we are apparently going all the way back to the roots of Call of Duty. Now, I don't know how you gentlemen felt about it. That was my first takeaway. I won't go too deep into it at the beginning, but I just said to myself, you know what? I'm okay with this, and I almost care. Not much, just a little bit. Just enough that I want to keep up with it to see how it pans out. Panic, you look like you're ready to shiv somebody. So what's your take on this whole situation?
So I saw the announcement, and people were actually mentioning it last week, and much like you with the SNES Mini, I just did not give a crap. Like, I honestly, Call of Duty is kind of just like dead to me. But then like a bunch of people just kind of shoved like the trailer in my face, and I watched it, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll take a look at it when it comes out, and I'll give it a try. But honestly, they've screwed up the franchise so badly to me that I'm not super interested. But we'll see where I'll see where it goes. I feel like they're taking some interesting chances, which is why I'll look at it. But I'll let Jeff give his impressions before we go more into it then.
I am kind of on the same boat. I'm siding with Adam as well. I'm not as on the other side as you are. I haven't cared about Call of Duty for probably, I don't know, 4 years. I used to be hardcore into it.
What was the last one you cared about?
Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, you went to Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare was the last one I cared about. 2 was just kind of like, all right, you're jumping the shark now.
Yeah, I think it was Modern Warfare 2, and I think that's the last one I bought as well. I remember getting it on PC, I do believe. But yeah, that's the last one that I bought. I didn't even play it much, but I only did it because I really liked Modern Warfare, the first one. And I played a lot of console, like before any of this LAGTV stuff happened. I was like, both Adam and I were really console gamers.
We played a lot of it, yeah.
We got into PC, obviously, when I was like 13, 14 years old with Brood War and Diablo 2 and a few other, very specific titles. Adam and I never really went out and bought a bunch of computer games and played computer games. Like, the only other computer games I remember Adam just going out and buying was like Neverwinter Nights. We had like Warcraft. I got gotten Baldur's Gate. Just a few games. I remember playing like Harry Potter on the PC way back in the day.
Were you a huge shooter fan back then?
Harry Potter.
But I was a console guy, and I loved shooters. I loved Halo. I loved Call of Duty when it came out, like on the PS3, and it was I think it was just Modern Warfare. Or
that's what confuses me, because you say you're a shooter guy, but you didn't really. It sounds like you didn't play the original like shooters from back in the day, like Doom, Quake, Hexen, all of those games, which were like
because he wasn't on a PC.
For it. I didn't play PC, right?
But the console shooters didn't really come out until much later, like Halo.
I played. I played a lot of Unreal Championship. I played a lot of that on the console. I played quite a bit of the old Counter-Strike on PC. I would play that on lunch. That was probably my first like PC shooter experience, was playing Counter-Strike. I think it was like 1.4, some really old.
Oh yeah, 1.4 or something.
Yeah, it's like really
the original.
Old. But yeah, you're right. I never got into Quake. I never got into any of those games. I think like the first shooter I ever played was Wolfenstein 3D. On like DOS,
mine too.
Like way back in the day. But back to Call of Duty, I just stopped caring. I have friends that get pumped every time a Call of Duty comes out. My good buddy Wayne. As soon as Call of Duty World War II got announced, he was on Facebook.
Wayne
saying,
is like,
he's all about
Wayne
it,
is
right?
hard into it, yeah.
So like, and when I worked at the restaurants, typically everybody played Call of Duty. Like whether it wasn't if you play Call of Duty, it was, were you a PlayStation or an Xbox Call of Duty player? And we would just kind of play, and at the end of our shifts, we would go home, we'd play the shit, and we'd try and prestige and all that other stuff. It was fun. I mean, I had a good time playing COD. I will agree with Adam. This is the first time it's piqued my interest. This brings it back to its roots. And there's just something about World War II that is just cool. It's gritty. The weapons aren't as advanced. We're not going to have people bouncing off walls and on jetpacks and all this other nonsense. It's going to be a war, and that's kind of what I think of when it comes to shooters. So I'm looking forward to it. All we got was a teaser trailer that showed a bunch of in-game like CGI or whatever. We didn't actually get to see, to my knowledge, unless they release some, of the actual gameplay and what it's going to look like. And how well it's going to run, but
it's going to look good.
Okay.
It's going to look good.
Yeah,
so let me take a minor tangent for story time. Actually, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll give you story time, but let me just. So Jeff touched on something I wanted to talk about with this in particular was where he said, when he talked about how the fact that it's World War II and we don't have dudes jumping off walls and all this other nonsense or whatever. That's. What I'm really interested in is how much World War II we're going to get, because people ended up getting slammed for getting excited about Battlefield 1, where they were like, oh, World War I, we haven't really gone this route before, or not very much, and that would be kind of exciting. The weapons are even less advanced than World War II, and tactics in war were remarkably different, and that
was like the turning point.
And I was excited about Battlefield 1 for that exact reason. I was like, oh my god, the amount of like possibilities for gameplay types and how this could play out could be and differentiate itself finally. And all it was exactly what they did with Star Wars Battlefront. What is that? That's what they called that one, right? They rebranded the original and shit on it. So
the guns in one just didn't have any feel to them. They felt like all the other guns from all the modern shooters. Like I was like,
well, they just repainted. It was Battlefield. Yeah. It was Battlefield
like a reskin.
4 or whatever the latest one was, and they just reskinned it for World War I, and they did it with Star Wars all the same. And so I'm interested in.
And then they copped out on the weapons and everything. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, the weapons and stuff. There's a huge cop out on the weapons. So I'm very interested in. And then people's arguments were well, if they were realistic, then you just the bullets would be bouncing all over the place, and you wouldn't have good accuracy and everything. You'd be like, oh well, boo-hoo. You don't have a friggin' M16 or a G36C to wield around on the map and just sprint around. Yeah, exactly. Big deal. Like, I guess, which is probably the real unfortunate bit here is the developer and the publisher have to make money on them, and these are big budget games. These don't go for like $3. Like they put a lot of money into this stuff. So they kind of have to do that to a degree, but I don't think they had to go so far with it like they did with Battlefield 1. I think they could have gotten away with a little bit more, actual World War I related stuff. So that's what I'm interested in seeing as we see this game develop and come along. And E3 will probably be when we see the first major, gameplay bits. They'll probably have I imagine we'll probably see it on 2 different stages plus their own stage at some point. So we're probably going to get lots of Call of Duty, but yeah, that's just what I wanted to mention was the fact that this is, I'm hoping that this does what Battlefield 1 didn't do, and that's be a little bit more true to the time period and not be like, okay, Terminator went back in time, he's looking for John Connor and super advanced T-1000 type shit.
Yep. So for me, again, like part of the thing, I looked at some of the articles and it intrigued me because they're like, yeah, we're going away from some of the mechanics that the major shooters nowadays have, like the regenerating health, the weapon ammo systems are a little different, and it's going more back to the classic World War II style, which is super interesting to me. And I would like to see like a solid World War II game in current technology, done properly. Again, like you kind of said, it all depends on how much World War II are we actually going to get. To take that into my little tangential story time, a lot of the modern shooters to me, like the guns all feel kind of the same and all of that. So when I was younger, we always wondered like what the actual weapons for World War II were like, and why everyone was like making such a big deal about it. So during college, one of my roommates was from Virginia, and he was avidly into firearms and rifles and all that other stuff. I've been to firing ranges
like a
before,
Wings?
fired like handguns. Kind of, yeah. I fired like modern rifles and stuff. And again, when you're firing most modern rifles, even like larger calibers like 5.56 or 7.62, when you fire those, the guns have a lot of advanced systems to handle recoil and stuff. So yeah, you'll get a little bit of kick on the shoulder. You'll get knockback, and they'll move. But it's completely handleable and comfortable. And it's fine. But we were there's a chain here called Cabela's. It's like one of those big outdoors hunting stores. Giant.
We know about
experience.
Cabela's because they've got
animals.
video games.
Oh yeah. So they actually have an area where you can go and get vintage rifles and stuff. We were on spring break, and my roommate decided we were going to stop at Cabela's, and since he's a driver, we're going to Cabela's. And we go into the antique gun section. And he's looking at the weapons, and he finds, lo and behold, a 1946 M1 Garand rifle, original from the assembly lines just after World War II. Now this
And
thing
this is just sitting in a random gun store.
It's not really random. Like it's like in Pennsylvania.
I mean, it's the Walmart
and in
of
those
fucking
areas.
gun stores. That'd be
You
like
have
walking.
to you have to for gun transfers and stuff. You have to go to like a licensed place to do the transfer, and they also buy the weapon. So they have like specialized area where they store the specialty firearms, and they have a lot of these. So he's looking, and we were looking just for the hell of it. We had gone skeet shooting that weekend. We're trying it out, and he sees this 1946 M1 Garand. And looks at the price. This thing was going, I'm not even sure what it was going for. It was a couple $100s. I was surprised it wasn't more. But it wasn't in great shape. Like the trigger group would fall out, but it had everything. The M1 Garand is a 30-06 rifle, 8
My
bullets in the
favorite
clip.
round.
And it even, the clips actually pop out and do all the sound. So long story short, he ends up buying it and bringing it back with him. Like he bought this M1, so we go to the range.
Boy,
like,
I'd probably do it too.
Yeah, we go to the range the next day. Those 30-06 bullets are 25 cents a shot, mind you. Those are not cheap for a college student. And we go to the range, and he's sitting there. He's like, "Yeah, this will be fine." He loads up the clip. Now, this is like loading this thing and getting it all set to go was a challenge. Like you have to like load the 8 bullets into the clip, which is hard. And then you have to like pull the bolt back. You have to put the clip in, and it hurts. It's painful. If you let that thing slide the wrong way, it like slaps locks on your finger. It hurts. So he gets super excited.
Is it that gun that had a thing named after it where your thumb would get slammed in? Or that was a different gun?
Yep.
There's
no,
one.
that was
it. Grand Thumb or whatever they called it? I can't remember.
Something like that. I don't. Yeah. I just remember because I had it slam on my finger a couple of times, and there was a lot of cursing. So he proceeded to, we're at the range. Everyone's kind of looking at the gun. It looks amazing, like for what it is, and it held up. Obviously there's some damage. So he takes the first shot, standing, aiming at the target. Literally drops the rifle. This thing kicks back, hits him in the shoulder. He kind of like pops back a bit. He was not expecting it, and he like pretty much drops the rifle. And then he's just like, "Holy shit!" And I look at him. I'm like, "What is wrong with you, man? It's not that bad."
It's a 306, bro.
30-aughts. Yeah. So either way, he looks at me. He's like, "All right, tough guy, you try it." And I'm like, all right, yeah. There's no way it's gonna be that bad. I have the thing up to my shoulder. I go to shoot the thing. He's waiting next to me, and I also drop it, almost, and he would catch it, and then we go. We never fired that rifle again outside of bench rest.
Well, I mean,
because of the
there's people probably thinking right now a 3-06 or whatever, the 30-06 or whatever they call it. I can't remember. I think it's a
30-06 in 1946. That gun didn't. That gun had.
It was wood.
The tube.
It was like wood, metal attached, no added anything for recoil.
Yeah.
It was like they just went into like it's like the Dodge Viper of guns. They just took it into a barn. They took some fucking like trailer apart, and they just friggin' bent it around a pole. And you're like, rifle, and then you just go out and it tears your shoulder off, even though it's not a particularly big round.
Again, it's not like it's not that it was like a ridiculous amount of recoil. It's just compared to the modern assault rifles, when we fired it, it was unexpected. It was unexpectedly large. We also had like bruises on our shoulder because we each put through like 5-6 clips through it at least.
So what you're saying is, in the game, every time they take a shot, they should be dropping the gun. How realistic would that be?
Oh man, no, I'm just saying like so like that's kind of the thing, like understanding that those weapons were a lot different compared to weapons now.
Oh, of course.
A lot of games kind of like, and a lot of the older Call of Duties did capture the impact of how powerful those weapons were. So I'm hoping that we don't get like a reskin of like the Modern Warfare or like other type of like weapons. I want the game to have the impact of, the recoil of these weapons, the loudness of these weapons. Again, we've come very far in audio engineering. We've come very far. So I want the game to kind of have that feel, of the classic weapons without just being like the Battlefield 1, really crappy reskins.
Yeah. I think this Call of Duty, and this will be my last thoughts on Call of Duty, because at the end of the day, I don't really care all that much, but it has intrigued me a little bit, I will say. I think at this point, Activision has come out with so much crap, and the Infinite Warfare, to my knowledge, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, did not do remotely as well as Black Ops 3. Like opening sales was, I was looking it up here, but it was like 48% less than what it was for Black Ops 3 in terms of Infinite Warfare. And universally speaking, pretty much every COD player that I've talked to pretty much hate the game. There's very few people that I've heard was like, man, this Call of Duty is dope. Infinite Warfare just seemed like a stinking pile of shit. But I don't know. I didn't play it. I'm just going by what I hear, and obviously the sales in the game kind of tell a story as well. So with that being said, I think Activision knows at this point they've kind of pushed the envelope a little bit too hard. It's almost like a movie series that does one too many, or not even one too many at this point, but you know what I mean? That really just pushes it to the limit, and now they're finally getting that pushback. I think that Call of Duty and Activision,
they jumped the shark a lot.
They definitely have. I think we're going to see them go back a bit, actually put some money into the game, not try and skimp it as much. Of course, they're going to try and cut corners, what they do, but I think they're going to put a little bit more attention to detail and try and make a good game out of this, and maybe even make a good World War series out of this one as well. If not, and
we need another Brothers in Arms. That's what we need. Remember how fucking good Brothers in Arms was as a war game? Like the campaign was amazing.
Call of Duty's usually done the campaigns pretty well, so like I'm hoping they capture the grittiness of World War II again. Like we've seen so many games, but they kind of glorify a lot of it. But this one they said they're going more for like the ground level soldier. That's the part that interested me. Mm-hmm. I want to see what that experience was like. I want to see how they capture it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool.
Absolutely. I think I know what. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I know what went on. My audio might. Oh no, it's not too bad right now. I think when I was moving my stuff earlier, I might have caught my volume knob or my gain knob on my Scarlett, and it jacked up my audio. So God, I'm just looking forward to doing my audio this week. It's gonna be fun, boys. I think I've got it now. I think we're back in the zone. So yeah, no, I just noticed it. I looked down at it and I was like, oh no. So for those of you wondering why I was going underneath the desk every 5 seconds. There was actually something else there about Call of Duty I wanted to mention really quick before we move on, because I think this has to do with, or it definitely exists because of Destiny. Apparently they're fielding the idea, if not going ahead with, having a physical lobby type deal, like with where you interact with other players. So you're walking around, like, in Destiny where you have the hub like where you're just walking around, like a base camp type thing. Why is that in a Call of Duty game?
That could be interesting. If they do it World War II style, that could be interesting to see. Like what a base.
What are you gonna be like in a speakeasy in France or not France, but like a bar in France or something with like 12 other dudes listening to somebody sing?
They've fallen so far. I'll see what they have to do to try to fix that. Let's see what sticks.
Yeah. But anyway, that's enough Call of Duty. We can move on from Call of Duty into something else. It's my favorite topic, guys. It's Nintendo time.
Adam, you need to stop. You need to stop. It's time.
No, it's. I don't really have anything bad to say about this, honestly. Not particularly bad.
Every
anyway.
single time I look at the notes for the podcast, there is 4 Nintendo.
It's because they just keep coming out with shit's crazy. Like they've been on this nonstop friggin' kick, and this one it's the never-ending SKU list that is soon to be its own magnum opus of Nintendo 3DSs. But this is not a 3DS, gentlemen.
Keep releasing hardware.
They have now announced a new Nintendo 2DS XL limited primo director's cut edition, whatever else they want to snap onto the whatever. Okay, so here's the long short of it for those who don't know what's going on. Yeah, so it's literally the exact same hardware, as the 3DS XL. Identical, except no 3D. So they took the 3D slider off of it. Yeah, okay, you go do that. I've got mine upstairs. I'm not going to go hunting for it. But I've got the 3DS XL with the capture card in it. Panic's got his there. Jeff's going to go grab any one of like 90 he's probably got back there. Yeah, I've got a regular 3DS and an XL.
I buy them, I sell them for roughly the same amount I bought them for, and I get a new one.
Yeah, there you go. Jeff's got his Zelda version. So,
So what do you hate about this, Adam?
Well, honestly, I don't really care that it comes out. I mean, it's silly because Nintendo has possibly the worst naming people in the history of anything. Like their marketing department just couldn't possibly be any worse. If you showed somebody the SKU list for the 3DS, it is the biggest mess. It's crazy. It's no wonder consumers haven't accidentally bought old 3DS systems. They probably have, actually, as far as I'm concerned. But they just keep coming out with them, and then they just put, like, new in front of it. Who in the fuck?
At least they didn't call this the 3DS XL minus.
Can you imagine? If like the next PlayStation was like the new PlayStation 4? Like that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. Like the new Xbox One.
They do what PS4 and Xbox does, but instead of putting S or Plus or Pro,
then they do XL and Lite and 2DS.
The XL
now
is a bigger version. The XL is a bigger screen.
New.
Honestly,
so
though,
the full title is New Nintendo 3DS XL or New Nintendo 2DS XL. It's like
if you've got to put a name, if you got to put new in the name of the product, you've already fucked somewhere.
Yeah.
Now that being said,
silly.
like as ridiculous as Nintendo's naming are, their hardware is actually pretty good. Like the new 3DS
I
felt was better than the one. They've done well with it, and the XL form factor is actually way better for people with like our giant meat clubs.
Normal people hands.
On the portable level, they've done like a good job. So like with the 2DS XL coming out, the name sucks, but the fact that they got it without the 3D feature and can play all the 3DS games and it's same form factor, I'm all right with it. It's a good price point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm just like, you guys are like throwing too much stuff at the wall at the same time. Like,
the price point's actually the thing that I'm not particularly happy about, and it's not that I'm not like I'm not like keeping myself up at night. In Canada, it will be $200 because they announced, I think the Australian price was $199. So usually Australia and Canada are the exact same.
Yeah,
so,
I saw $199.
Yeah, so $199, and then if you go and see what the 3DS XL, new Nintendo 3DS XL is, it's like $239 or something like that. So you're literally dropping between $30 and probably at most $30 and $50 to have the exact same hardware minus the 3D on a So I guess my point is, especially for kids, right? Like if you're buying this, normally the 2DS was great for younger kids, originally, because it was cheaper.
2DS was
not
such
everybody
a derpy
wanted
form
that.
factor, though.
Yeah, but here, dude, I saw people on forums complain that the new 2DS is clamshell. I saw people complain that it was
so
clamshell
much
because they
sturdier.
preferred it the other way.
It's so much easier to travel with this. Like, that's the reason why you see everyone at conventions with the 3DS versus like the PS Vita or something.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is a tank. It's easy to travel with. I literally throw this thing around when I get back. First thing I do is I'll put it out, just throw it on the table or something. Thing's a tank. So like, I'm cool with the clamshell, but like the freaking, yeah, it's kind of weird that they keep like putting out new SKUs really quickly. Like, you just release a Switch, let it simmer for a bit before you start throwing out a new portable. Like, slow it down, guys.
Well, yeah,
Give
it's
us software.
It's that, and at the same time, just to add this in, not to talk about the full thing, but you know how we were discussing the Super Nintendo or the rumored Super Nintendo Classic or whatever, and how we had discussed how they had stopped the NES Classic. Reggie finally came out and talked about it here this week, and I guess is this your final answer on this topic? Is we literally just don't have the resources to do this.
Now we know why.
We're showing our refocusing. So instead and they said they're doubling down, or they want to double down on, like, the ideas are doubling down on the Switch and their handheld market, but
what really happened
it's just another
that they
silly
name all this stuff is just exploding. Like, they don't have any more space in the database. They're like, oh guys, we got to get rid of something. So all right, let's get rid of the NES Mini.
Yeah. They gotta come up with something. But no, I like that it doesn't have 3D, because honestly, the 3D on that, I always turned it off on mine anyway. I don't know if you did, Jeff, when you were playing yours, if you just turned it off immediately.
It depends on the
I
game.
never
Some
use
of them played well. Some of them didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
it's
I
kinda
was just like,
gimmicky at
fuck
this
it,
point.
whatever. So I would have liked to have seen this launch side by side with the 3DS XL and not happen at the end of what is likely the last SKU in this
I feel like
series.
what's going to happen is the 3DS XL and like the whole new 3DS XL is going to go kind of by the wayside, because I feel like Nintendo's seen that the gimmick is kind of worn off. So they just wanted to get like a 2D platform out there so that they can just develop software for the 2D platform, because the Switch has none of the 3D features either. So I feel like they're going to just try to do the whole tie-in software-wise where they don't have to do any more 3D development. So I think over the next year or two, maybe 3, we're just going to stop seeing 3D titles, and they're going to kind of pivot the 2DS XL into the 3DS's spot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I mean, most people don't even use the 3D anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what it is. And then I think maybe what Nintendo is thinking is, well, people aren't buying the 3DS because they don't want 3D. They don't like it, makes them feel gross. They don't use it. So why not make a portable that is the same as the 3DS but without the 3D, and it is cheaper, even if it is $50.
Because you don't need the fancy screen or all that other stuff.
You don't need the 3D. If I was a consumer, which I'm not, I only got this because of a trade, and it's actually valuable. I would definitely pick up the 2D, the new 2DS or whatever the fuck it's called, XL over this, because I'm not gonna use the 3D, and it's gonna be cheaper. It's the same damn thing. And I can play the 3D games.
In general here, within this group, I think we just probably heard Jeff's answer, but I'll pose this question anyway. In general, for gaming, especially with the advent of VR and whatnot, which of us, I'll go last, which of us actually cares about 3D in gaming in any of its form factors? Doesn't matter if it's handheld, if it's on your TV in your living room. Panic, how do you feel about 3D?
I'm waiting for VR more than I am 3D. When the 3DS came out, I thought it was pretty cool. And again, for games like Zelda and stuff on the 3DS, it was cool. but it's not like it wasn't a system seller for me. I didn't buy it because it's Zelda in 3D. I bought it because I'm like, it's Ocarina of Time in a portable format. So it was more of a gimmick to me. In movies, I absolutely hate 3D movies. I try to go for the regular screen movies. There's just a lot of flaws with the technology. We're not there yet. Maybe in like 10 years, we'll have better 3D technology. Wow. But for now, I mean, it's just all optical illusions and tricks and craps. And I don't need that in my consoles. You know, I'd much rather just get like a VR headset and just get that and the immersion that way.
Yeah.
Mr. Black, what about you?
I don't care about 3D for video gaming or TV. I mean, my television back there does 3D. I've never once turned it on. My 3DS, I never turn on the 3D. I only own 2 3D games. One of them is in here, which is Zelda Triforce Heroes. Even when Kayla was taking this to work to play on backshift, she would turn off the 3D. It just hurt her eyes. So I'm not into it. I'm all for VR. I'm on that VR bandwagon. I love the next level. I love it when I'm more part of the entertainment. So I do love 3D movies. I do love VR. I still think Resident Evil 7 VR was the greatest VR experience I've ever had in my life. Best horror game experience I've ever had in my entire life. And 3D movies, yes, some of them are pretty shitty, and the majority of them, if you're watching like Piranha 3D or you're watching some shitty, whatever, like you're watching Thor in 3D or something, yeah, it's not the greatest. But there are movies like
I feel
Gravity.
Like it dims the movie
there are
too
movies
much.
like Avatar. There are movies like The Hobbit and different things that use 3D very well. They use very specific cameras, and the technology is there. I do agree it is a gimmick, and a lot of movies will just throw a snowball at your face. You're like, whoa. It more feels like you're at a Universal ride than it is a movie, and the 3D really only, you even forget you're watching a 3D movie when you're watching a 3D movie until something comes at you. I never really got a full experience like I had in Avatar or The Hobbit or Gravity. Those are a few movies that really popped in my mind. So yeah, I think this is gimmicky. I think it's crap. I even have the Virtual Boy behind me in this case.
The king of headaches. There it is.
I mean, oh my god.
It's never done particularly well, but Nintendo sells portables like hotcakes at McDonald's. So it's obviously worked well for them.
Did 3D well, but it ended up never mounting more. I think it's even more of a tech issue than anything. Nintendo, out of anyone, did the 3D the best. But yeah, it's a gimmick.
It is, and it's not even one that really works most of the time. Nobody's in demand for it. Nobody wants
it's not
I
in
shouldn't
demand.
say nobody, but there are very few people who are like, man, if only this game was in 3D. You know, we're starting to hear that now with VR. Like, only if this game was in VR. Even Adam said it. Who is a guy that doesn't even really like VR. I can get the guy put on a headphone. Even Adam said, I would love to play Abduction in VR. You know, I would love to have a puzzle game like in VR. The one
genre, yeah.
So it's like you can see how VR can add to the immersion of a game instead of it just being a gimmick. And I don't think 3D on any game, under any circumstances, really adding any extra value to the game.
Just eye candy.
Yeah, it really is. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like 3D, basically anywhere. Movies, TV, video games, the back of cereal boxes in the 90s. I just don't care where 3D is. It's all bad.
Were you one of those kids where the Magic Eye never worked for you? Like, you look at those Magic Eye books and you're like,
no, those all worked.
I see it.
I collected some of the Jurassic Park ones. I still have them in a container somewhere. Like
in the back of
things
cereal boxes. Did you think about that joke for the last 10 minutes, Adam?
No, that actually just came to mind now. I'm actually surprised it happened because I'm tired as hell today. So the fact that happened, I'm impressed. It's the only joke I'm gonna have today. No, I've never cared about 3D like ever. And Panic's right. Nintendo, out of anybody for video games, Nintendo did it the best. And that's unfortunate because it was unfortunate though because it's still pretty bad. So
Yeah.
My TV upstairs is also 3D capable. My plasma upstairs is 3D capable. I've never used it. My glasses are still in their plastic, somewhere in the house. I don't even know where the shit they went.
Is capable of it.
Probably. But this is what I was, that's a good thing to say actually, because TVs now, some of the highest end ones that have just, been announced here, CES that just happened not that long ago, they're starting to not have 3D anymore. They just stopped caring about 3D. And that's on panels like the OLEDs and stuff that were giving, in a lot of cases, not all of them, but in a lot of cases, the best 3D experience that consumers had available to them since the advent of the 3D revolution in TVs, where you couldn't buy a TV without it being 3D. So I've just never thought it was great, and it's a bit of two things for me. One, I think that the technology just wasn't there and still isn't there, and two, nobody except for a very small, like less than 1% of any entertainment genre, actually made good use of it. Actually made good use of the 3D to enhance whatever product it was attached to. Like Jeff mentioned a couple
Sony
of those
or Microsoft
movies.
Even come out with 3D extensions to the consoles, or no? Like, I don't even know if I heard about it.
Yeah, there are games. Oh yeah, there are games that run in 3D off the consoles.
Oh, they have 3D? Really?
Oh yeah, if your TV supports it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not. There's not. I'm not going to say that's every game. I can't remember because as soon as I realized I didn't care, I stopped paying attention to it. But that's my take on it, and it's starting to. I think that's the case in general is we're going to see less of it now because VR is going to be a place to handle a lot of the gaming stuff, and I think augmented reality will be what we're going to see more for movies and TV. In the future, they're going to skip the 3D, they're going to skip the VR, they're going to go to, I said this a while ago, I think augmented reality will eventually supersede 3D, not 3D, but VR. VR is like the half step in between en route to augmented reality. So it's fun though, it's fun. It's one of those rare cases where you get to see two different technologies grow side by side. We have augmented reality is growing on one side of the fence and VR on the other, and eventually there's going to be a weird merging point where the two of those things kind of become one product in the probably not too distant future, and that will make for some pretty exciting stuff. I think will happen when that happens.
Yeah,
Next
I agree.
up,
I'm going to say one
sorry,
thing,
go ahead.
and it's going to be super short because I do want to move on.
Yeah, sure.
I agree with what you said to an extent. I think when you said 3D just isn't good or anything like that, I think the technology is there. I think it works perfectly fine. I just don't think people care. I don't think people are interested in 3D anymore. I think that gimmick is over. VR is the new one that's in. And the 3DS 3D actually works well, and the TVs actually have really good 3D as well. It's just nobody gives a shit about it. That's the tech. The tech is there. Just nobody cares. The masses don't care.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to care when they don't really do anything with it. It's just hard to sell that to somebody. So, next up, before we go into break, we've got a topic that I actually find interesting. I wanted to build on this a bit because, coincidentally, the title for the article that I found this for is incredibly misleading in just about every way, shape, and form. Not that that should be shocking to anybody, but it wasn't necessarily clickbait. But the title gave me an idea after reading it as well. Phil Spencer, who's the head guy at Xbox now, and has been for quite some time, was in an interview discussing games as services, which is where I think they got the Netflix for games thing in the title. I think is where they went with that.
An MMO?
Well, even like Destiny is a game as a service, technically speaking, because you get a game and then they build on content for that game for long periods of time. Like it's not a one and done situation. We talked about this before. It's a super long tail development. And he was talking about how, story driven games are becoming more and more rare because the games as a service, genre has become such a big piece of the gaming pie that everybody's trying to work their way in there, and more customers are gravitating towards games as services. So what I was going to take from that interview and propose to you guys is, what if we took the title more literally, and there was a Netflix for games? And follow me on this. They do this with TV shows and and whatnot on Netflix now, where you know they release a bunch of stuff and then you can binge it and move on to the next thing, so on and so forth. What if story-driven games could be like that, where they put all that in front of you as a game, and then they continued the story long form. So instead of having, for example, games that seem to get claustrophobic in their narrative because they literally only have so much time they can cram onto a single disc, or for the sake of other content. Let's say, for example, Mass Effect is probably a good example of this, where they're taking story out because they need to stretch this out over a few games, when in reality, it's also because they couldn't get this all into one game if they wanted to. What if they took a Mass Effect, for example, and turned that into a Netflix-like service where you were playing this and they just kept writing the story and presenting you with the game as you went? Now that's different from just having straight up, and that's different than just having DLC, because you're trapped in that same issue over and over again. But if you just let them then run their course, what would that be like for you guys? Would that be something that you're interested in, so that story-driven games would maybe be able to be more profitable and allow for that to be more of a thing instead of just getting shooters where you pay for skins over and over again?
Honestly, I don't see that as anything really new. We've been doing it for at least a decade or two with MMOs. It's just a take instead of doing it for an MMO type of game, you're doing it for the more standard kind of games. I don't really see anything new about the model. I mean, we've been going towards that for years anyway. Any game that does DLC now is pretty much doing the same thing. Instead they just want to do a subscription style service or something more like Destiny. I don't see anything new with that. If that's what they want to do, and if that's how they feel they can give us more content in a cool way, it all depends on how they execute it. So I'm not negative on it. I just don't think it's anything new, and I think it's just Phil Spencer trying to be like, oh yeah, we're trying something new, when it's really not.
Well, he didn't. To clarify, he didn't propose what I just told you.
It wasn't just him. Yeah.
He's just talking about the fact that games as services are becoming the new thing, which, it's not necessarily new if you look at it at MMOs as a thing, because an MMO has to be a service by virtue of the genre. But, you know, he's talking about how it's becoming more common. I think season passes are basically a foot in the door for games as a service. It's just that it's more labeled in an old form way. But I know personally, if they had done that with a game like that, if it allows the writers and stuff to drag something, not drag it on, but to expand on it, so that, for example, think of how many games like Jeff, Outlast, this shit game that you wouldn't want to do the service for, but I'm going to give this as an example because I just thought of it after watching you play it. Yeah. Outlast delivers its entire fucking story, which, truth be told, Outlast 2's story and shit is not the worst story I've ever heard in my life. It's relatively unique if you know what's going on in Outlast. But they give it to you in nothing but a bunch of paper, right? That you're reading the whole thing. You don't see any of this shit. You don't experience any of this shit. It's like, here's a piece of paper. It's not even voice-overed. You know, you're running from a bunch of hillbillies with pitchforks, but take 5 minutes to sit down and read this page and find out what's going on. That happens in stuff like BioShock, for example, with the audio clips that they had that you would come across to expand on the story that they didn't have the time or resources to do it. If it was a games as a service thing where they could then take that and be able to provide it to you as a game, and then not have to just say, okay, we have to cut out this content to make it something you read or something that you listen to while you're playing the other section of the game. Isn't that kind of a cool idea where you'd be able to experience more of like the stories from games that you might not have gotten it for before?
I don't think so. I'm gonna go on the other side, and I feel like I see where you're going. And I'm not going. I'm
not saying I have necessarily a side on this 100%. I'm just putting the idea out there.
I want to channel my inner Jeff here, and we're gonna go back to the DLC podcast, not the actual deal, but when we talked about it, where Jeff and I were on the opposing sides. I don't think games as a service for this kind of, for like especially narrative driven stories works as well, because I don't want to be doing like, it all depends on the implementation. I don't want to be paying a subscription for something I don't know. In Jeff's case, he mentioned that when he buys a game, he wants the game. Like it's a set known quantity. He wants that. In my particular case, I was okay with buying a DLC pack because for me, it's an additional set known quantity of story. I'm not too keen on the whole I'm going to pay you X dollars a month and you're going to continue the story. I don't know how much content that is. I don't know what that entails. I don't know what you're going to be giving me in that service. And I feel like it's going to be very studio dependent, and a lot of studios, if they ever go in that kind of direction, would be able to execute on it well. Like in most places when they try to commit on like a, monthly cycle or whatever, they usually bomb out and fail.
Yeah.
I would rather them just say, we're going to give you this bundle. It's $15 extra. If you want it, have at it. And if they want to keep releasing that every 2 months, sweet. If not, great. I don't want to have be paying them $7.99 a month for whatever.
Well, here's my thing with the DLC. You're right. I do want a complete game. I know you said you didn't have a problem with spending some extra money on, say, Mass Effect. My big issue my big issue is the reason why you're getting DLC and you're getting it so fast without regurgitating what I said before is because you're not getting a complete game, right? They're giving you a game when they know damn well they're going to release a DLC that coincides with the story of the original game, and they're going to either answer questions that should have been answered in the game itself or add extra content that adds to the game so that you get it feel like you have a complete experience that you have to pay for. That is where I have my problem with DLC. When it comes to this sort of thing, this is DLC to the extreme. This is them going, well, how much money, how successful is a game going to be will determine how much time and effort they put into said story, said content afterwards. Also, they know in their minds that they don't have to create a complete game. So you're going to start to get fragments of a game, and knowing that they have time or knowing that they can give you some kind of climax and have you tune in for the next round of things, kind of like what they do on Netflix when it comes to, a Netflix series or something. They always kind of leave it open-ended. When you're watching a series on TV...
They would have to completely retool their series for how they develop the games if they wanted to go with that route. And that wouldn't fly,
right? It would be... I'm not down for it. I'm still old school. I like to buy my games. I like to complete my games. And then if it's done a really good
too
job...
many games you want to move on.
Then I can move on. Or if they come out with DLC 3 months down the road and I feel as though it's unique in some way... I sometimes will buy it. I bought the Resident Evil stuff. I bought one of them, played it for a few hours. There was another one that was $20. I said, there's not a fucking chance in hell I'm paying $20 for this. So I didn't end up buying it. But I feel like a thing like that, it's just, we're almost, I know this is a hypothetical question Adam is asking, but when Adam really asked it, it's almost like it's plausible. It's almost like they could start to do this sort of shit because...
And I felt uneasy. I felt
DLCs
uneasy as he was describing it.
And season passes, season pass is kind of like the door into this sort of thing. I mean, season passes are pretty much already
That's the line for me.
Without,
That's the line for me.
Without really saying what it is, because with the season pass, you're paying for content that isn't even out yet, and they know that they have to produce more content, right? So they're only going to give you pieces of what you need to keep you interested, to keep you playing, keep you paying. So I'm not a fan of that idea at all. I think that video games should just stay buy, play, done, move on. If the game is good enough, it will do well. They can make a sequel, and I'll be there to spend my money on that sequel. That's where I stand with it.
Yeah. So I guess if I had an actual stance on it is, if it wasn't a service like this, or like an idea, I won't call it a service like this because it would be a service, I guess, in general, is, I love story-driven, long-form games. I prefer them 9 times out of 10 to something that's like pop it in and then just get these quick fire 20 minutes to an hour of content and then bounce out and be done with it and whatever. That's what I enjoy. And Phil is not wrong when he mentions that those types of games are becoming more and more rare for the reason that for the amount of time it takes to create said games, the risk because of that time invested with no revenue coming in during development, the risk graph for those games is significantly steeper than, say, a risk graph for a Call of Duty where they have two different development houses releasing a Call of Duty game once a year, every year, and they know they're going to be able to cover themselves, ad nauseum. So
something like this,
yeah,
for something like this to work for me, like if we use Horizon Zero Dawn as an example. If you're going to use that where you have you have a huge story, you have a long development time, there's no way in hell I'm going to buy that game for $60 if you're telling me that, oh yeah, we're still developing it and you're going along. You're going to have to sell that game to me for $20 and then I'll pay as we go.
And I think that's the idea that I would be
initially then.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think if this kind of thing existed, it would be a $79.99 Canadian peso start and then, $30 every time something else come out. With it. It's it's gonna be segmented more.
You guys know what you are saying right now. You guys are.
And I'm not on board with this. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Saying that you're okay with a technical alpha, an early access game. That's basically what you're saying you're okay with, because
not
that's
even
what
a little
is.
bit.
Well,
no.
it's the same.
I'm not
concept.
okay with it. I'm saying hypothetically, this is what they would have to do.
That's not the same
even
concept
get me
at
to
all.
Consider it.
An early access title is a game that not even the assets are completed for. Nothing. It's not even like debugged yet. The shit's still falling apart at the seams.
Yes,
you're
if
part
you want
of the
if you want to
journey.
if you want to get super technical with it, but I mean, or for example,
we're talking more Telltale type game, episode 1, episode 2, episode whatever.
Yeah, I'm talking the groundwork's laid out. So you pay, let's say, 39 Canadian pesos up front and tax to start your go, and then you're going to pay $9.99 on a more than frequent basis than like once every 6 months, and to keep going, which it does two things. It doesn't
really work with games.
No, well, it doesn't. See, again, just like other things, I can guarantee you this is going to happen one way or another. You guys can both not like it. I don't like it all that much. It's going to happen because the cost of games is too fucking high. It's literally too expensive to make video games now. There are fewer and fewer people capable of producing games at a AAA level because the standard for what is required is insane. The market for what people want to buy is getting smaller in terms of the scope of what it is they're looking for. And so people can't just go out and make the damn game anymore and hope about making their money back enough to do anything more than go make another game and then just kind of live off wages and not actually go anywhere. The games are too fucking expensive. So they need to find a way to not just sell the games for more, because there's only so much that you can say, here guys, here's the end product on the store shelves, it's the year 2020, and now instead of $79.99 Canadian, you're looking at a game that's $99.99 Canadian as a starting point, and then the digital deluxe or whatever is going to be $159, and moving on, so on and so forth from there, because there is a break point there where people go, what the No, it's not. No, fuck you. So they had to find a way to break it down so that their revenue stream is smaller up front, but steadier over time so that it guarantees that they're able to continue these projects. Otherwise, yes, they need residual revenue. Otherwise, they're going to be dead in the fucking water unless they're Activision, Blizzard, Electronic Arts. Even Ubisoft at this point I don't think is bulletproof in that regard, because they haven't been pumping out nothing
Vivendi's
but mediocrity.
Trying to buy them out now.
Yeah, so you're gonna get like 3 fucking dudes making games. Everybody else is gonna be making like Pac-Man variations in Indie Land, and that's gonna be like the entire fucking scene. So this is going to happen. So somebody smarter than all 3 of us combined is going to come up with a model that will woo the masses into being okay with it.
They're going to need they're gonna need a cadence where they get the game out quickly. Because here's the thing:
Yes,
if it's gonna take them 3 to 4 months to keep things coming out, people are just gonna lose interest and move on. Like,
absolutely.
I played Mass Effect Andromeda. I played the hell out of it. I put a couple hundred hours into it. But at this point, I've finished my playthrough. I'm putting it down, and I'm not looking at it for quite a long while. I have other games I want to play. Games are coming out all the time. So, if they drop their price, what they're going to probably end up seeing is they're going to see the initial release, and then as each episode or whatever segment comes out, they're just going to make less and less money. I don't see that model catching on as much as it sounds good. The development times are too long for them, so they have to focus more on how to bring the development time down rather than trying to say let's bring the revenue stream earlier.
Well, you know what's bringing development time down right now? The tools that are being used right now to create games. Okay? Engines, more and more people are using one of a handful of game engines. It's not about building your own graphics engines anymore. Most people are using Unity, Unreal, Frostbite. And beyond that, I'm not even sure. And then, what's Amazon's one?
Lumberyard.
The Lumberyard, right? So that's the new one to the club, and those are like the 4. And I might be missing one somewhere along the way there.
Crytek.
But yes, okay. So your 5, there's about 5, I guess, the biggest ones there. That technology is getting crazier and fucking crazier at what it can do and how fast you can do asset turnaround. It's going to get to a point, especially because that market is also pretty competitive, where the turnaround times aren't going to be so absolutely insane as long as you have your base set shit in place. It's the same reason why they reuse assets for sequel games and shit. It's there and they can make use of it. So like I said, there's going to be some higher upfront costs and then go on. I think people in chat were mentioning like Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, where they're going to give it to us in like 101 different friggin' segmentations. I think the difference there is Square's probably going to charge you $100 a piece, whereas the ideal thing here is you pay $40 and then the tail of then it drops off into your subscription thing where you go along as you want, and then if you get to a point where you're like, I'm done with this, then you walk away from it.
I don't think they're going to make as much money. I don't think they're going to make as much money, and they're most certainly not going to make it $40 entry. If they're going to do it, they're going to charge you the full rate right up the front.
Well, they'll charge whatever they can get away with.
They'll charge the full stack of the game, and they'll make just as much money as they do off DLC. And the only way that this works is for
full game.
Massive games like Destiny or I don't know what other big long-term games there are out there, but I think just for a regular ass game for story, I mean, who's gonna come out with a long story? Or are we gonna get like Witcher 4 and then we're gonna get
Witcher's done it well though?
Doesn't Hitman do something like this?
Bajillion.
They do Hitman episodes, but the Square.
Dude, Hitman's doing fucking amazing. That's who gives a fuck about Hitman. They're doing real nice with that Hitman series, and that's on the back of a series that not many people even.
They came out and said right at the beginning, you're not getting a full game. They didn't charge a huge amount for the initial game, and they said, here's a couple of missions. Every so often, we'll release a couple more missions. If you like them, keep buying them. And here's a bunch of multiplayer and other modes in between. Have fun. And then they literally just keep sending them out. That's all they're doing. They're not going nuts with it. So they told you up front exactly what you were getting. Yeah. Like they were very clear about that. But I think, and part of it is, and what Jeff's getting at, a lot of the studios, they're not going to be upfront about that. They're going to try to sell you that this is a full game. They're going to charge you the full amount, but then they're going to actually give you a much smaller piece and then try to sell you more and get more money later on.
This is never, ever.
It's never going to bring the price down.
To happen in a million fucking years. The only people that can do this are massive games. Massive.
Well,
Destiny 2, Call of Duty. These type of games.
Is Telltale really that massive? Because they do it with their games.
They're huge, and the thing is it's episodic, like Netflix. They're TV shows. They're not even video games. They're interactive shows. You just click A and B, and the engines that they have in those things, I could fucking, if I took a weekend and I really studied how to make that game, I could probably do it over a weekend. It doesn't. There's not any. Yeah, it has a big, massive audience for it, but they just use the coattails off of all these other bigger TV shows and they just make their own little Telltale games, and they already have all the scripts and everything written for it. They just go and do the exact same thing that the shows were doing, essentially. So, yeah, sure, it might work for very specific things, but as, to get more story-driven games out there that we don't already have, it's just not going to happen. Here's how I look at it. Somebody up in big guy TV land once thought there's no way in fuck Netflix is going to ever take off. Nobody's going to give a shit about Netflix. Everybody wants to come home and turn on their TV and they have their cable and they watch their shows at the time that they want them, and that's the fucking show. And now Netflix comes up and then they go, you know what? But Netflix is just for movies, and it's okay. We can live with this. We get the exclusivity Netflix is
in the marketplace.
Adam, and there's thousands of hours and massive TV shows and movies. We're talking about one game at a $69 price tag, and then monthly wages on top of that, or quarterly amounts of money for just that one specific title. They're two totally different things. I understand your argument, but it just doesn't work here. It just doesn't work under any sort of.
Well, I think the idea here is if this is going to happen, it's highly, like you said, even you said this, it's highly unlikely that it's going to be the developer putting on the service, because then there will be 1,000 fucking service fronts that people already hate the fact that there's, Steam, Origin, Uplay, fucking good old games, all the shit, G2A, Green Man Games. There's 1,001 fucking marketplaces. Nobody's going to want every single publisher to have or every single developer to fucking have it. So what's more likely to happen here is for example, the starting point for this, where I could see this going, is Xbox, Sony, not Nintendo. Nintendo's off in their own fucking la la land. One of those two, and maybe somebody like EA, I would say would be the only other major publisher that I could say doing this, is they're going to take their first party games if they're at Xbox or PlayStation, and they're going to take their EA can take their series and do it because they're just big enough, and the games that they have are broad enough in scope that they can use this service, and they will make it. They will be the ones fronting it, and they're going to be going for volume. It's not going to just be one game. There's going to have to be more, and then there's going to be
a different argument. This is a totally different.
We're talking about Netflix for games. What did you think we're talking about?
Well, you were talking
$69.99
for a game, and then DLC for said game. You weren't saying Origin going, hey guys, pay a monthly fee and play as many of our titles as you want. That's a totally different.
They already do that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's already a done
that's
thing
gonna
on many different sites.
Yeah, sure.
There's two different things. Like that actually is Netflix for games.
Great.
For a specific thing. I thought our entire it wasn't what I thought.
There's a difference
our
between Netflix for games and Netflix originals for games.
Yeah,
Very big difference between those two.
I mean, can you imagine if Steam said any game on Steam that we have on our platform, you pay $59.99 a month or $60 a month, you can play any fucking game you want on Steam, any one that is in our store. That shit would sell like the fucking, like God himself. Like if Jesus came down, people would throw everything at it. We're saved. This is the show. Yes, that would work. But for a specific title, so that we can get more story out of a specific game and then pay over the term, absolutely not. And
not happening.
Even if Steam did say that, which would never happen because there's a whole bunch of different publishers and it'd be a logistical nightmare on who's getting what kind of money, it would have to be somebody big enough like Netflix that would come out and start paying developers to make games specifically for them, for their service like Netflix. And then if those developers that are making and they have other games, older games they could bring in so that people could play as well for a monthly fee. That I could see working, but for one game or even one series of game, like all Telltale games or something, no, I don't. Not for the masses. There'll be a handful of people that would pay the money because they can, but for the masses, no.
I think in my mind there's a hybrid between those two ideas. Because in the video game world, doing a pure Netflix thing where the publisher is taking most of it and then disseminating the money amongst the the developers of all the games on the service. I think that nobody gets enough money in that regard to make that work. So there has to be a hybrid between the two. And I think I still stand by the fact that what we talked about before, where games will pull a Hitman type thing, whether it's episodic or not. I am for story-driven content at the very least, because the other genres, it's like doesn't make any sense. You can't fucking do it in other genres that aren't story-driven. It's going to fucking happen.
Well, they're already doing it for COD. They're already doing it for Destiny.
Yeah, well, no, it's the games as a service thing, but in terms of a story, more story-driven shit. Destiny's not fucking story-driven, for Christ. It was fucking black. Literally, their story was black versus white, light versus dark.
Wow.
That was literally it.
Yeah, I didn't say they were story-driven. You said for story-driven games, and yes. I said, well, they're already doing it, but not for story-driven. We already have that.
Yeah, for other stuff.
It's nothing unique. Yeah. It's nothing unique. It would just be for story-driven games. But then again, what is considered a story-driven game? It's just this whole thing. Are we just going to pay for more Telltale games? It's just bah.
It's been done in different ways. Like you have Telltale games, you've got the Old Republic, you've got like DLC packs for other games. Come on.
Call it a day, man. I don't feel sorry for you that you can't put quality into your games anymore because it costs too much. Well, if you didn't make garbage for so many years, you wouldn't have this problem.
That's such a stupid thing to say. Holy fuck.
Wow.
Well, it's true.
That went off rails.
You even said a few minutes ago about or EA or one of those companies. Well, they haven't made quality games in a while, so we have that. So yeah, that company is suffering because they're not making good quality games anymore, and that's the reason why they're having a hard time, being confident in putting a bunch of money into a game because they have bad track records. I mean, if it's a totally different story if we're talking about indie developers trying to make AAA titles. Of course, they're gonna have a hard time, but it isn't until an indie developer makes a really good selling game where they have an opportunity for their next round to make a AAA title. I mean, we even watched No Man's Sky go from an indie game and you slap AAA on it, and we all saw what happened there. It's because they're making bad games. They're just making bad games.
But it's not. Yeah, but my point isn't that they're making bad games. It was the statement that like, boo-hoo, too bad you're making bad games. Oh, it costs too much money.
Well, they aim too high and deliver too little.
It's like to make the analogy here now would be, and you've mentioned this several times the last few podcasts. In Hollywood, if your movie doesn't make $1 billion, go fuck yourself. Okay?
No, I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all. I said if you don't make $1 billion, you're not under that umbrella of a mega hit. You're not a big time movie. There's movies that are made for $30 million, like District 9, that made $250 million in the box office. There's nowhere near. That was the biggest draw for that, or for that entire production company. You make a movie like Blair Witch Project for a small amount of money. That's why all these horror movies that come out, they're on $30 million budgets and they do $150 million. That is a massive success. Mega money. $1 billion movies are the new mega blockbuster movies, like super, like the elite. A movie, it's all about. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about making a low budget game and then making a shitload of money off of it. I'm talking about the fact that the standard now expected that gamers expect from most shit costs a shitload of money, and you have to make an astronomical amount of money to even break even on these games. So it's not the question. To bring it back to the point is it's not especially not for everybody, and maybe not even more than a very small subsection of AAA development at this point. Is it about too bad you made a shit game? It's the expectations are so damn high now, and the cost of it to get to those expectations is so damn high now that unless you are literally half God and half made of luck,
most of these games are going to be labeled as shit. And they get labeled as shit.
I've lost both of you completely.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but you're not seeing the other side. These companies, they market their games like they are the second coming of Christ. They make these crazy trailers. They go on stage and they tell everybody how fucking groundbreaking it is and all the new shit that they've managed to create, and there's all these great they oversell their product, and then when it comes out, people are like, what the fuck is this? This is
everyone overhypes. It's the thing.
That's the problem.
Because you have to.
Well, no, you don't.
That's the problem.
What happened? What happened to making a great game and going, wow, that shit was fucking awesome? Word of mouth.
Show
spreads.
the game for what it is. Let people make the decision, but they're never going to do that because now it's like we have to make as much money as possible. So they're going to hype the shit out of it. They're not going to let the game necessarily talk on its own merits.
No, you get wrecked.
They overhype the games. I agree. They're expensive to make.
Blizzard and other games are very similar. Like if you look at games like Overwatch, look at all the fluff material they put out for that game. It is an arena shooter, which is like, with some hero elements, but they start releasing like 3D shorts and all these other long movies. Not saying they're bad, but that's how they're trying to sell the game. Like, this is a shooter that has a lot of story in it. The story has absolutely zero relevance to anything, but it's their way of like hyping up the game. And that's the problem. Like, you have all these things that are tangentially not related to the game and the actual game itself, but they're producing all of it. They're spending time on all of it to get people to buy the game.
Yeah, I just the reason why I say boohoo is because I don't feel sorry for the publishers. If they make great games sell. If you make a great album, it's gonna sell. If you make a great movie, it's gonna sell. Obviously, there are things in between. You need to market it. You need to get sometimes it in the right hands. But guess what? We're in a time now where if you make a great game, the shit will sell because gamers are desperate for good playing games. Problem is, everybody's making the same regurgitated bullshit, and they're all trying to out-one each other, which jacks up the prices on how you make a game. And that's just the way it is. They just need to stay focused and make a good game. That's it. And it's no different. Like if No Man's Sky stayed an indie game and they gave us what they originally said, and we paid the $39, we would not have had any of this outcry. But it's when these games, they come out and they try and be something that they're not, that's when you get the backlash. And I think a lot of these games are feeling the wrath, even a game like Call of Duty. And now that they're bringing it back, and hopefully they put some money into their game, it'll sell even more. There's been a lot of, we're crying here. You're crying. There's a lot of great games that have come out in the last year. Amazing games. Gaming in the last year has been like the best it's been in like 5 years.
I disagree.
5 or 7. Dude, the games that have been coming out have been insane.
Some games are great, but I actually feel like we're in a glut.
Oh, I don't at all. I don't at all. I think the some of the titles that have been coming out over the last year is just it's been the holy grail of games for the last year.
I look at Steam, I look at games coming out, and I'm like, this is all shovelware. It's shovelware. Yeah, some good games came out, but I'm like, yeah, no.
I think you're on a huge crack pipe. I think you're on a huge crack pipe.
Agree to disagree.
Okay. Okay. Like, I can do that.
I'm not discounting. We've
Adam,
had some good
I've
games,
heard you
but
rant on your
compared to
stream
previous
about how
times,
great games have been in the last while on a number of
I'm
occasions.
somewhere in between. This year,
You've been watching the same
2017.
stream. Have you been watching the same stream?
2017's real good. 2016 was aight. 2017 is like actually insane. Like the first quarter alone is bank breaking with all the games that have come out that people want to get their hands on.
Some great games have come out. Yeah.
Holy shit, it's been nuts. But 2016, it was kind of whatever to me. But yeah, 2017, this year is pretty much straight absolute.
Yeah, it's like we're crying for great games, but we're getting great games. So I don't even know what the argument or what the discussion was really about. I don't think we're in desperate need. I think we're at a high time for games right now. There's a lot of excitement with titles that are coming out. I'm down for gaming right now.
I think the original conversation, to the point of it, we all went off on 1,000 different directions, was that story-driven games specifically have become more, or are becoming more rare, in the marketplace. which even for this year, with all the games that are really, really hype, the story content or whatever for them is not the forefront thing at all anymore. It's just, we're getting more, like we talked about on other podcasts, it's as much fluff as humanly possible.
Filler.
It's as many collectibles as possible. It's,
Hunting,
farm this.
collectibles.
Yeah. It's the year of the collectible. This year, all
Unless
we need
you're playing
is
or Naughty Dog game, then you're getting story. But
then it's
beyond
not.
that,
Then it's not as bad.
There's not a whole. I agree. There's not a whole lot of games out there that is just like, oh my god, the story. There still are, but you're right. A lot of it is collectible.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got a 8 to 10 hour game, but we've got 40 hours of collecting shit or just pointless side quests. Have fun.
That's every game right now. It's just how many things do you want to collect, bruh? Yeah, have a good time. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go into the first break now that we've talked in circles about something. I don't even know what my point was anymore. I don't know what anybody's point was in that whole argument.
You lost
I don't know if anybody knows what the fuck it was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm on like 2 hours of sleep, so if I make no sense today, that's
Technical
probably
alpha,
why.
man.
So yeah, we're gonna go to break. We're gonna do our major sellout. Reminder that we are on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Patreon, everywhere you can get your hands on this stuff. We've got our own RSS feed, of course, for you to plug into Podcast Addict or whatever other applications you so choose to use. And yes, currently at the moment, live streaming on twitch.tv/technical alpha, where we will have emoticons for you soon, so that when things do light on fire.
We going to 4K on Patreon? Is that what we're doing? Oh, by the way, we got 10 more openings on that $100 slots.
Did we? I didn't put that up yet.
Oh, but I did.
Oh,
I've got access.
you did it. Oh, you did it
Throws out
yourself.
all of my projections for the merch.
Sold.
Nah.
Rip.
So if you guys were wanting that $100 slot, we got 10 more open.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
been our hot seller. That's been the one that's been selling out like crazy.
You're dirty, Jeff.
That's true.
Oh, I'm dirty.
That's true. It is the most. It is the most requested one for sure. So I can't even hate on that. It's the most requested by a long shot. But yeah, you can find us on all of that. Once again, Jeff and I are going to be doing that retro.
I have a question
versus.
for both of you. Now, for the $100 or whatever that comes in from all this dirty sellout, like, can we expense the soap we have to buy to clean ourselves off?
Maybe. I'm sure we can talk to the accountants about that. I think we can probably make that happen.
All right.
It's gonna be a lot of soap.
Oh wait,
Like,
no, I lied,
we need
guys.
the
I
industrial
lied.
soap.
I opened up 5 more slots. I didn't open up.
Oh,
10.
only 5? Oh, you just
Yes.
trolled the shit out of everybody right now.
I only opened up
Only
5. Yeah. So I only opened 5. So
It's even
goes
more
on
than
50.
Now you're going full Nintendo now, Jeff.
I know.
Full
I know.
Nintendo on that stock level.
I know. So yeah, go and check out our Patreon. Plus, we're gonna get that new retro versus.
Yeah, the
if you're
retro
$5 and
versus.
above. So I mean, if you're not on Patreon yet, you better at least get in that 5 sheet if you want some of that retro video game content from.
Yeah,
Adam
that should
and
be fun. It should be,
Oh, we'll be
should be
this time.
fun. I'm kind of scared to see what the first game is that we pull off of that wall. But yeah, we will be right back after this sellout break. I'm gonna get some more water and inject myself with caffeine so that I can actually form coherent sentences in the second half. So until then, guys, sit tight and sell out hard. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provide you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions. We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight. are back, ladies and gentlemen. I, honest to God, at this point, I can't tell. After today, like tomorrow or sometime, I'm gonna have to like sit down and look at my audio levels, because now I'm like fooling myself as to whether or not my mic is coming in like hot as Hades or what the hell is going on. But we'll figure it out. For now, let's just assume that everybody on iTunes and SoundCloud don't have their ears bleeding.
Adam
Coming
and his
off of
audio
that
shit, man, you just can't. You every podcast, you gotta go on about that shit.
I have to.
God,
dude, it's my life. I have
Let it
nothing else to live
go.
for.
Just let
I
it
have
go.
nothing. I have nothing else to live for.
Jesus.
This is my life. This is
Jeff,
my
can
life.
you learn the song from Frozen and just sing it to Adam periodically?
Let it go.
Just let it go, man.
Let it go. You know me. I gotta sound better than everybody else, bro. It's my life.
One job, Adam.
Maybe I'll get in on that that audiobook hype. Start reading books to people. Be amazing. Do it.
Do it.
Do it. So since we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week because we went on for literally 5.5 years in that last podcast, we're gonna talk about Jeff's most anticipated movies. But actually, before we do that, we have something that segues lovely into the most anticipated movies. And I'm gonna guess this is Jeff that wrote this in, but I'm not 100% sure on this.
No, that was me. That was me.
Oh, it was Panic. Okay, I thought it might have been. So it's okay, because Jeff will be able to talk about this, I'm sure, at great length. The resurgence of M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong in the film world, which I'm guessing is in reference to the fact that he's got at least one movie en route, and he's done a couple of others, and he's trying to reclaim, his...
not a shitty
film,
movie maker title.
Yeah, film creating honor after some of the movies that he did in years past. So Panic, since you wrote this in, I want to hear from you what the scoop is. Scoops. What is it?
So I'm gonna actually start this off first. Jeff, I think you watched Split. Am I correct?
Watch everything, Panic.
Or have you? Nice. Just making sure.
I see everything.
Not all of us have time like you do for that. Go watch movies all the time.
I make time.
But no, Split. Yeah, exactly. So they actually recently announced that they actually optioned the movie for a sequel to Split and also for Unbreakable. Now, those Unbreakable was one of M. Night Shyamalan's older movies that was like got him a lot of critical acclaim, shortly after Sixth Sense. And then Split is a more recent movie. Yeah, Split came out I think it's about a month or two ago, and it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and it was actually not bad. Like, I was surprised. Like, I went to watch it with my dad because we were just trying to kill some time, and we were actually going to go watch something else, but we couldn't watch that, so we ended up watching Split. And we were pleasantly surprised that, one, it was a pretty good movie, and two, M. Night Shyamalan made it, which confused us because he hasn't made a good movie in almost a decade. And now that
I'll rebuttal that when it's time, but keep going.
You can rebuttal that. So, like, they've actually announced with the sequel, and I'm actually really intrigued when they put it together. So, like, I'm kind of thinking, like, is M. Night Shyamalan coming back? Has he learned his lessons from the past? Like, is something happening here? So I figured Jeff would be very interested in talking about this in some way.
Yeah, Jeff, before you probably rebut what he just said, what I want to hear first is for somebody who's not a huge movie buff, then I'm speaking for myself and probably a number of people that listen to this podcast.
Probably a lot of our viewers.
I don't know. I think a lot of people like movies.
No, well, no, it's not that. It's not. That's not where I'm going with this. Is people know M. Night Shyamalan for Sixth Sense, and then the internet meme that followed M. Night Shyamalan, where everything's just a fucking bad plot twist. I feel like that's the only reason people know. I think that's the only reason people know who M. Night Shyamalan is it's just, hey, it's an internet meme about plot twists for everything that happens forever. So can you give a brief history of M. Night Shyamalan, where he got big, and then maybe talk about where he started to fall off and stuff, just so we have an idea of why it's important that he's coming back now?
Yeah, so M. Night Shyamalan is, for those that don't know, he's a movie director. He was beloved for many years and still is to certain moviegoers, myself being one of them. He is the guy that makes the twists. I mean, when you go to an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you typically are looking for the twist during the movie. So you're trying to figure out, okay, you kind of overthink that, and he even knows that, and he'll play that. He'll throw little loops and he'll do things to make you think something, but it'll be totally different. And 9 times out of 10, you never really figure it out. Like, or you may have part of it figured out, but then something at the end will be like, oh my God, really? So he's always had that element of surprise. Now, his big breakout role that made him a superstar director was The Sixth Sense. And I mean, if you guys haven't watched The Sixth Sense, if you're listening to this podcast, then you should absolutely go watch that film. It's incredible. That came out in 1999, 98 or 99. I think it was 99. And it was massive. I mean, it was just massive.
It was a great movie, phenomenal movie.
Yeah. It was great. It had that little creepy kid that doesn't.
Were there
really do
Oscars
movies anymore.
involved in The Sixth Sense?
I would imagine.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, I would imagine that it would have been nominated for some kind of Oscar. It made a shit ton of money. I know the budget was small; it was like $40 million. Ended up doing like $300 million just in the U.S. It made a lot of cash.
It did not win anything.
It's probably nominated.
It was nominated. It was nominated for
lot.
Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. It got pretty much swept.
It's just an amazing film. And then he came out with Unbreakable, which to some is an even better movie than The Sixth Sense. I absolutely loved Unbreakable. That came out in 2000.
Great.
Absolutely amazing. I'm actually going to watch as soon as I'm done the stream, and we have our meeting afterwards. I'm going to watch it. What are you saying?
Yeah, I consider Unbreakable to be the original superhero movie, and I think it was still one of the best ones out there.
It's amazing, and I won't spoil it because it really, you can't spoil any of M. Night Shyamalan. I'm going to name a bunch of movies, but I won't spoil any of the endings for you guys because obviously that's the element. And for people that have watched these movies, you know what I'm talking about. So Sixth Sense, Unbreakable. Then Signs came out. Signs, another great movie. I loved Signs. Some people
terrible movie in my opinion.
Woo! Wow, Signs.
Damn, that wasn't even like a minor adjective. That was just straight terrible.
No, I was completely on board with it, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, what the shit is this garbage? And I was a kid when it came out, and I thought this is stupid as hell.
Wow. Okay.
Continue, please. I'm sorry.
You should watch as an adult because it's an amazing movie. Just an amazing cast. I mean, Jesus Christ. The
cast was amazing. No doubt on the cast.
Yeah, I loved Signs. Many people love Signs. It won awards. It's rated very highly. It's a great film. Then after Signs is where shit started to go sideways for him. He came out with a movie called The Village, which came out in 2014, which, you know what, some people actually liked. I was not a huge fan of it. It's one of those movies where you go in and you appreciate it because it's the director. I think I was a little biased because I love M. Night Shyamalan so much. He had such a good track record. I kind of let it pass. It was one of those movies where you have a favorite director or actor, and the movie doesn't do it for you, but it's enough to kind of keep you semi-satisfied, and you just kind of forget about it. That was The Village for me. And then it really went to shit with Lady in the Water, and then The Happening happened, which was absolutely a dumpster fire.
The Happening is so fucking hilarious.
Which had Mark Wahlberg. It's a comedy. It's literally a comedy. And then the
100%.
worst of them all came out, and it is the second last movie I walked out of. I've walked out of 2 movies in my life. One of them was Borat. I walked right out of Borat, couldn't handle the comedy, didn't like it at all, thought it was just the dumbest shit ever. Maybe if I was a stoner and I don't know, I was in a coma, I could have enjoyed that movie. But I walked out of Borat, and I walked out of The Last Airbender. That movie was so bad that it was almost as bad as Dragon Ball Evolution. It was so fucking bad. The Last Airbender flopped so hard in the box office. People hated the movie so much. He got death threats. People, he fell off the fucking planet for a few years. And then he came back to planet with After Earth, starring Will Smith, and his shitty son, Jaden Pickett Smith. The movie was so bad, I couldn't even finish it. I didn't go to the theater to see it because I knew it was going to be a dumpster fire. Was
After Earth the one with John Travolta, or was that some different one?
No, that's I think you're thinking of Battlefield or Battle Earth or whatever the fuck.
Right.
That was a dumpster fire too. But I mean, After Earth is with Will Smith and his son Jaden Smith. It is absolutely horrible.
There's a point in movie theaters where you sit down and you'd see trailers for movies and people are like, oh, that looks interesting. And then you'd see directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and you would hear audible groans in the movie theater of people like, oh God, really? And then it literally became the anti-selling point. It's like, I will not go watch this movie.
So to make a long story not as long, it basically is M. Night Shyamalan had an amazing career in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then all of a sudden, he did a 180. I don't know if I've listened to hours of interviews with him. I've watched all of his films, even the shitty ones, even if I rage quit them. I think he cracked under the pressure of trying to create the twist, and it became forced. It became forced. Now, Tabin came in and he said he hasn't made a good movie in a decade, besides Split, which I agree was a phenomenal movie. I really, really enjoyed it. Saw it twice.
Split was fantastic.
It was great. It was a mixture between thriller, horror, and
if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it.
It's a psychological fuckery, and it's scary because it's real. Like, these people exist, and you almost feel for them too. Like, it's a crazy good movie. But he made. And
if you watch Split, message me, and I'll tell you something cool after.
He made a movie before Split, and this is why I'm so excited for his sequel to Unbreakable, is because he's had two good films back to back. The last one was Split, and the one before that was The Visit. I don't know if you've seen The Visit or not, which was another horror film. It was a small budget, $5 million. That's it. $5 million. I do believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost certain, he forked up the whole money himself. He produced the whole thing. He paid for it. He paid the actors. He did everything. He sat down and he made The Visit. Now, when The Visit came out, he didn't even advertise it as an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like, when the previews came out, everything, you never really saw his name. It was like in super small print. Now, for years, M. Night Shyamalan was the movie seller. He was like, what's his face? Name a big director here: Steven Spielberg or James Cameron or Christopher Nolan. Right? He was the star of the films. Right? Quentin Tarantino. When these guys come out with the films, you're gonna go watch the movies, right? You're just gonna go see them. So M. Night became that guy that was afraid to put his name on a poster, on a trailer, and advertise it that way, because he knew people would be like, there's no way I'm watching his fucking shit, because it's been so bad for so long. So The Visit came out, and a lot of people went to The Visit not even knowing that M. Night Shyamalan was directing and writing the film. A movie turned out to be, I'm not going to overhype it here. It wasn't like, groundbreaking, but it wasn't a disappointment. And he proved not only to myself, but most importantly to himself, that he could create a great suspenseful horror, like a horror thriller movie with a good twist that wasn't overdone, that wasn't overcooked, that wasn't over-simmered. It was just, this is it. Wasn't overhyped. There it is, and it was super successful. Budget of $5 million, it grossed $65 million just in the U.S. So that was a big boost to him. And then, of course, when Split came out, that made $1 bajillion. I mean, that did really, really well. So he's been on a really good track record since 2015. Unbreakable, in my opinion, is probably his best movie he's ever done. It's between that and Sixth Sense. But I'm swaying towards Unbreakable, and I'm going to watch it again tonight, so I'll reinforce that. But I'm excited about this, and I obviously don't want to talk too much about the movies because I don't want to spoil it if anybody hasn't seen it. But if you haven't seen it by now, Jesus, you should. What are you doing? You need to go see these movies because they're really good. But I'm excited. And I'd ask Adam what he thinks, but I don't think he's probably seen like any of these movies.
You probably see them at Shyamalan. Like, I'm not wasting my time on that.
No, like I've, I'm not a big movie guy. When I get into a movie, I do really enjoy it, and then I'll buy it in every format that's ever fucking existed for the next decade or something. But I'm not somebody that goes out and I don't keep track of. No. Yeah, I don't keep track of like directors
casual.
all that much. I'm not into that. I see something, I go, yeah, okay, or nope. And with M. Night Shyamalan movies, it's been pretty much universally, nope, for a very long time. And so, with these movies that we're talking about now, and the ones that and I read about. Split and Unbreakable or whatever I think was the other one that was mentioned. Those movies maybe I'll go and watch at some point, but he just had such a long track record that I just started avoiding his movies, like a lot of people probably did. So I'm happy that now he's starting to rebuild the Shyamalan brand that existed, almost 20 years ago. And now he's bringing it back, and I'm okay with that.
He's rebooting himself.
Yes, exactly. He's bringing it back, and I'm happy for him because I have to feel bad for him a little bit because when you make a movie that is like, let's say, The Last Airbender, which is built off of a franchise backed by a group of people that are just this side of K-pop fans. When it comes to like anime people and The Last Airbender or like a Naruto or some shit like that, you're going to get some crazed people if you don't smash it out of the park. And not only did he not smash it out of the park, he didn't even hit the ball.
Park entirely.
Didn't even hit the ball. He showed up to baseball using a golf club. He didn't know what he was doing or how he was doing it.
He missed the stadium. He drove right by it, didn't realize, kept going.
Showed up at the Starbucks and just, got lost along the way. But I'm happy he's made it. He's made it to this point, and I hope his new movies do well because he's got these ones, and he's talking about how he's excited because he's been able to talk about the fact that these are now tied together and happening technically in the same universe or whatever. He's been talking about that in his interviews, and so good on him. And I'll probably be the guy that waits until they're all out, and then I'll sit down and tie them all together type thing. So I'll watch them and then see them in its entirety. And
they don't really.
Well, I know they don't go together,
they don't really tie. They do,
different.
But they don't. They do,
but you know what I mean. I'm one of those guys. I like to wait and see it.
Yeah, it's more of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you have like a Hulk movie, you have a Thor movie. That's kind of like how these movies are. They're in the same universe, but they're separate things.
There's no Avengers movie happening.
An M. Night Shyamalan Avengers movie where the kid from The Sixth Sense and Aang from Last Airbender get together and fucking take on some shitty other character. I don't know. I've got nothing else after that joke.
I'm gonna move into the next part where I guess you guys can chime in. More movies, man. I could talk about movies.
More
forever.
movies. We're going to talk about your most anticipated.
We're going to talk about your guys's too. I mean, Adam probably will see 2 of these movies. I'm sure.
The way I see this happening, Jeff, is you're pretty much going to be like, in May, these movies are coming out, and
then I'll say, sure,
about them, and then we're going to be like. And then we're going to go over them, and then we're going to be hypernauts. So I'll let you drive this.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of be like, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, I'm driving this.
So what do we got coming? We got spring and summer.
You guys can drive all the Nintendo talk you want to talk about for the first 2 hours. I'm driving movies, boys. I'm driving it. All
right, we're in the fun bus. We're in the fun bus. So what do we got? What movies are coming up?
All right, I got my list here. All right, so in May, I'm only going to be giving like bigger movies.
Sure.
In May, we've got at the beginning of the month, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and then we've got Alien Covenant, and then we've got Snatched. And so I actually don't even know what the fuck Snatched is. I'm going to be 100% honest with you.
Is that like a continuation of Snatched or no?
Oh, you know what? I do know what it is. It is the comedy between what's her face that I can't stand. Not
the
Melissa
girl
McCarthy, but the other one. Oh yeah, Amy Schumer.
Okay. Amy Schumer.
Yeah, it's where her and her mom.
When are we going to get a movie with Melissa have we gotten a movie with both of those two in it together yet? Has that happened yet? Because I don't think the world's ready for that. That's going to be like the universe implodes type shit. Yeah.
I know I'm not. But anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, I am pretty excited about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The first one was absolutely incredible. It was like the sleeper. It was just so damn good. And I love the fact that it's all kind of coinciding. It's in that Marvel universe, so maybe we're going to get some other characters or see some other things that are going on through there. I'm just pumped up. They're adding more people to the team. There's a couple of new characters they're throwing in there, but of course we're just going to get some more of the older characters. And apparently this one is going the whole Fast and Furious route where it's all about family. It's all about family.
Oh, really? Oh, everything's about family now.
So
they kind of alluded to that in the first one.
Yeah, so that's and reviews have already started to come out. They've been positive for the most part. I've been hearing it's not as good
James Gunn
as the first, but it is still very serviceable and a damn good time in the theater. So that's pretty much what I was expecting. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I'm gonna add 2 to the list before you continue.
2 movies?
King Arthur. Yeah,
Oh,
King
yeah.
Arthur.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm curious what your take on.
Whoa, that comes out in
those.
May?
Yeah,
Pirates?
26th.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, there you go. Well, then there you go, Panic. Well, damn, I didn't know it came out. Are you sure it comes out in May?
Yeah, I have it listed on. I have it listed on the 26th. I've already been getting email promos saying buy your tickets.
Damn. Yeah, it does too. I'm seeing it. Wow. Okay, I thought that came out first week of
Jeff,
June.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck! I have
We
one job!
believed in you.
Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, and also Baywatch comes out in May as well. So that also comes
Baywatch
out.
is in May. I saw the trailer for that, and I don't know if I was cracking up because I feel like they're gonna I feel like they're rebooting that series of like that era of like Baywatch and like Jump Street into comedies, and it looks hilarious, but I don't know.
Dude, I
it
didn't
could be really
realize
bad.
May was so stacked. I've got the whole list up here now, and it is. There's a lot of movies coming out, and wow. Okay, so Baywatch.
The King Arthur one actually looked interesting to me.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about King Arthur here for a second. What do you
That
think?
comes out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that comes out soon.
I like the guy. I like the trailer for it. It looked really interesting. Like they were trying to reboot that into kind of like a lore franchise, and I feel like they can do really good stuff with the style of it. Also, I think it's like Charles Hunnam or whatever. I don't actually know how to say his name, but the guy from Pacific Rim, the Jaeger pilot.
Yep.
He's in it, and it seemed like it could be very interesting. So I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'll give them my money to go watch it. I'm hoping they do something well with it because like we haven't had a good King Arthur movie
And
I
a
don't
long
think ever.
time. Yeah.
Or a very long time.
It's when you said if ever, I'm kind of with you on there. We haven't really gotten a super good King Arthur movie.
And I feel like if they do this one correctly, I'm going out on a limb here. They could probably go maybe a step below Lord of the Rings in terms of epicness if they do it right, because they can do Knights of the Round Table and all that fun stuff. So I'm curious. I'm going to give it a go. So I want to see what your opinion was on that one.
Yeah, it's the dude. It's the dude that stars in Sons of Anarchy, and of course he was in Pacific Rim as well. Charlie Hunnam, or however you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
He's not a bad actor. I like him. The trailer, it looks unique. It actually feels very Game of Thronesy, but with a pop culture twist to it. It feels I don't want to say like a music video, but it
has a lot of potential.
It does. It's one of those toss-ups for me. So without getting too far into it, it's one of those toss-ups. I'll definitely go and see it. I'll probably see it on opening night, and then perhaps we'll chat about it when the time comes. The other one is Baywatch. Adam, have you seen any of the previews for Baywatch? I mean, if you've been on the internet, you must have saw something.
I've seen trailers for most of these movies we're talking about right now. But yeah, Baywatch.
Nice.
I mean, shit, dude, it's the fucking Rock, man. Come on. The Rock was born for the reboot of Baywatch at this point. And you got Alexandra, or what's her name? Alexandra Daddario or whatever.
Yep.
One of the easiest on the eyes in existence right now.
Yes.
You got Zac Efron,
Efron,
right?
his 12
who
pack.
is literally got 86 abs, and I don't know where they come from, but he just keeps adding more onto his body.
Surprisingly funny.
He is
He's
a good
surprisingly
good
funny
actor.
too.
I think Zach gets a hard time because of like how he started and everything. But I mean, Zach's
he's surprisingly
a good dude.
funny. He's hilarious.
He's a pretty funny guy. I think the movies. I think you have to go into Baywatch knowing that it's going to be, there's going to be callbacks. There's going to be a lot of cheese. There's going to be a lot of easy jokes. Everything's going to be on the nose. But if you go in.
Too.
Oh, yeah, but you gotta... not that much is Baywatch. Not that much is gonna fall flat, if you know what I'm saying. Even The Rock's got titties in this one. No, I think it's gonna be... I think it's gonna be fun. I don't know if I'm gonna see it in the theaters. I think it will depend on my mood. Like, if I really want to go and pay money to watch it in the theater. But I think it'll be fun.
Yep.
I think it will be fun. I don't think there's anything
agree.
wrong with it. As far as the King Arthur thing, and for me, I
it's
saw
not
it.
directed by Guy Ritchie, by the way.
Yeah.
So that makes it more interesting to me.
When I saw it, what was the movie that I saw that I can't remember what it was that we had just recently gone to see now, but we both Gabs and myself were like okay, I guess. Was our general takeaway from that was, all right, cool.
That was mine when I
for-
saw the trailer. I thought about it more afterwards, though. Like I was again like with the whole thing of I want to watch more movies, keep up with Jeff a little bit. But I thought about that and I'm like, you know what? That actually looks like a good candidate.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's going to be a toss-up. It'll either be really, really
It's a
awesome,
Netflix movie for me, that one, for sure.
or it'll be meh.
I'm not seeing that in theater.
I don't see it being bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Guy Ritchie just doesn't make bad things, so I am assuming it's going to be
He won't sign on if
serviceable.
it's bad.
Exactly. All right, so up next we've got Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Lies. I have been personally checked the fuck out of Pirates of the Caribbean for so
I didn't watch after the second one.
I got like to the third. I've watched them all. Okay, I've seen them all. But
I heard they're funny, but
I'm that guy that, and there's some diehard motherfucking Pirates of the Caribbean fanboys and fangirls out there, and I get it. It's the only role that Johnny Depp has done relatively well and consistent throughout his entire career. He's had some good movies.
Tony Stark of Pirates.
Yeah, he is the Tony Stark of Pirates, but here's the thing. And people can go ahead and disagree. You can let me know in the chat. You can hit me up on Twitter, or you can smash me in the comment section of this YouTube video. Johnny Depp has been so uninteresting for so long. He has played the same damn character in almost every single movie this guy has been in the last 15 years. There are very, very few movies that I have seen of Johnny Depp besides the Sweetie Todd movie or whatever it was. What was this called?
Yeah, it was Sweeney Todd. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
that wasn't the title of the movie,
No.
but that was...
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, even that one, he even played sort of the same character. I'm actually thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of the one where he played... see,
Edward
that's what I'm talking about.
Scissorhands,
No,
back in the day.
This is what I'm talking about. They're all the same. That's why. I'm talking about the one where he plays the gangster, the fucking the mobster from
Gangs. Was he in Gangs of New York?
No.
He played a major mobster. I know this movie. I saw it in theaters. I forgot the name of the movie.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm seeing him in a fedora in my head right now, and I'm not, and I don't know what the fuck the movie is.
That's because that's all he wears is fedoras, pretty much. Somebody
Not
will
Public
say
Enemies, right?
It might be.
No, that was a different one. There it is.
He played a gangster in a couple movies.
Yeah, Whitey Bulger. The Black Mass.
Oh
there
no,
it is.
Dillinger, don't you mean?
Black
He
Mass.
played gangster a couple of times. Then.
Yes, he played gangster in a couple movies, like that movie you just said. But Black Mass is the last movie that I've seen him in that was watchable, where he didn't play the same exact over the top, cartoony character that he plays in almost every movie. He was in another movie called like Transcendence or something like that was garbage.
That was like the AI one or something.
The AI
stupid,
one,
right?
man, that was bad.
Oh my
just
God.
a lot
I saw
of
the trailer
bad.
for that. I'm like, really?
Yeah, really, really bad movies. The Lone Ranger. Oh my God, that was such. I actually think that was the biggest
that
flop.
made people
Now,
realize
okay,
he kind of
all right,
sucks.
all right, okay. I have to step in now on the Lone Ranger. Do we really honestly fucking think that is his fault? What it was. Not only is the writing shit, the
I figured that
director
they handed
was
him a bag of money.
requesting. They got Johnny Depp for a reason. They wanted Johnny Depp to play Johnny Depp as the fucking what's the Indian's name in the Lone Ranger for
Tonto.
So like that's not Johnny Depp's fucking fault that he shows up for his paycheck and the director says, "I want you to be Jack Sparrow the Indian." Like nobody fucking like that's not Johnny Depp's fault.
That's literally what it was.
Exactly.
Like verbatim
oh,
for
absolutely.
what it was. It was like Walt Disney's biggest flop ever. It was a $215 million budget and it grossed $89 million. I mean, it was
bad. You could see from the trailers it was going to be terrible.
Yeah,
absolutely
and anything
awful.
like even his co-star Armie Hammer, anything that I don't know what the fuck is up with Hollywood and Armie Hammer, but they have been trying to make this guy a movie star for so long, and people are just not having him. The guy is like box office poison. So anyway, when it comes to Pirates of the Caribbean, I'm gonna go see it because I've seen them all, but I'm expecting a meh time. I'm expecting a couple of laughs from Johnny Depp because he does play, Jack Sparrow is a fun character. The music is good. The budget is big. The trailer, actually, there were some really great shots that were in the trailer with some of the pirates, like the dead pirates running on the water and shit. Like, there's some really good visual stuff happening there, and they're just beautiful pictures to look at. Like, when you're out in the jungle and you're seeing the water scenes, it's very bright and inviting. The cinematography is great. It's just a beautiful looking film, and for that, I'll go and see it in IMAX, and I'll enjoy it for it being that. Is it going to change my life? Absolutely not. I'm sure it'll do extremely well in the box office. Johnny Depp will make another $30 million, and that'll be the show. So that's where I'm at with Pirates.
Here's my take on Pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean is the aquatic version of the Fast and the Furious. That's exactly what I see Pirates of the Caribbean is. Because if I'm gonna sit here and bash on Pirates for its an easy cash in and the fact that it's a popcorn movie pretty much at best, then that's how I look at Fast at this point. They're not good movies. The narratives are shit. The acting is on the whole pretty much whatever. Nobody's there for that. They're there because it's big, it's over the top.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch and it's easy. You don't have to sit. Yeah. You don't have to sit there and think. You don't like. It's brainless. And like you said, Johnny Depp, for all that people can harp on Johnny for only having like 2 different modes that he can do, Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow is one of the greatest combinations of actor and character that has ever fucking been, and nobody will ever be able to convince me otherwise. The dude, if you put anybody else in as Jack Sparrow, those movies fucking suck. Flat out. You can't replace Johnny Depp for that role. And I get laughs out of them. I don't love them, but I have fun when I go see one of those movies or when I watch those movies. And like you said as well, the music is always really, really good, and the visuals are really, really good. And there's just enough of a story going on that it holds my interest. But yeah, I agree. Johnny only has a couple of things that he does. He doesn't watch his own movies. I don't even think Johnny Depp realizes half the time that he's just playing Johnny Depp in every fucking movie he's in. And if I'm going to be honest, I think Johnny's been tired of doing movies for years. He's off doing like his fucking band touring now,
he's
like doing
40
music.
million in the hole.
Yeah, he's in debt.
He's 40 million in the hole. He's got to make movies.
Yeah, so now it's just let's do some movies, right?
All right, well, that's it for
May.
May.
Move on from Johnny Depp?
Yep, let's move on right out of May. And, of course, you guys in the comment section on YouTube, if you're watching this, or in chat, you guys can let us know what movie you're... Okay, so I guess at that point, what is the movie for May? Adam, if you were to go and see a movie for May, what one would you go see? One? If you're picking one, if you know, because you're like you're lower than average moviegoer. So if you, to get you out of the house to go to a movie, are any of the movies in May doing it for you? And if so, which one would it be? And once again, you're looking at Guardians of the Galaxy. You're looking at the King Arthur. You're looking at Snatched, Baywatch, Alien, and Pirates of the Caribbean.
It would either be Guardians or Pirates is one of the two that get me out of the house, and it would probably be more, you know.
I got a gun to your head, Adam. Which one are you picking?
Which one am I picking between Guardians and
Pick
Pirates?
Pick a damn movie! I got a gun to your head! Make a decision!
I'm going to Pirates.
All right, cool. All right, Pirates.
I'm going Pirates because I'm gonna be honest about Guardians of the Galaxy. I really like the first one, and whatnot, and I love Chris Pratt. I think he's one of the most honest people in the entire fucking movie business, and he's a great dude. But
I agree with that.
But Guardians, the characters don't do it for me. I individually like the actors and actresses. I individually like the actors and actresses. I love that. I love that Dave Bautista still is like making a huge good money now in movies. I think it's great because I think he's also a nice guy. Loved him as a wrestler. He seems to be doing, he's not the Dwayne the Rock fucking Johnson, but he's doing his thing with his character in this. But it was just whatever. If it wasn't Chris Pratt making jokes, then the movie was like fucking whatever. So if I'm choosing those two, I'm going Pirates.
All right. What about you, Panic?
Guardians.
What are you going to Guardians?
Guardians.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go and say Guardians. I'm with you right on that. Guardians. Oh. I'll be there that Thursday night late show with my popcorn in my hand.
I unfortunately have to wait. I want to watch it on Friday before the podcast. Like I want to watch it before the podcast, but my buddy booked tickets for us. He's like, we saw the first one. He's like, you got to go together. So I'm like, on Saturday. Damn it.
That's all good. You'll still enjoy it. So yeah, let us know what you guys think. Moving on to June. June is also a there's a lot of movies I'm looking forward to.
They got a big ones.
In June. Well, when I say a lot, more like 3, but let me go through a couple of just the big ones. Number 1, and maybe the biggest one here of them all, depending on who you ask, Wonder Woman comes out June the 2nd. On June 9th, so just a week later, we've got The Mummy. The Mummy returns. On Friday, June 16th, we've got Cars 3. And we've got another, and what I'm hearing is the last Resident Evil movie, Resident Evil Vendetta. That comes out June 19th. And there's still 2 more big movies. The big one would be Transformers The Last Night. And I'll skip Baby Driver and we'll go right to Despicable Me 3.
Skipping Baby Driver?
Yeah.
Really?
What do you think? You think it's going to be a big time movie? We can talk about it.
My movies for May and my movies for June, I'm tossed up between Wonder Woman and Baby Driver. Like I saw the trailer for Baby Driver.
Ooh, it was cool.
And I like those kind of movies. Like I like Free Fire. I like those kind of like old style heisty type movies. This one looks like more of like a modern take on it. But I just saw the trailer for it. I'm like, I want to watch that one.
So for those that don't,
like it could be a really good one.
For those who don't know what Baby Driver is, I'm sure Adam doesn't know what Baby Driver is. It is kind of a mix between.
Is that like Arnold Schwarzenegger coming back and having a fun family film again? Is that what Baby Driver is?
No.
I'm fucking playing with you. Tell me what Baby Driver is. What is it?
I don't believe you.
I don't actually. I'd watch another family friendly Arnold Schwarzenegger film. I'm okay with that. Oh, we lost Jeff. We've hit the moment now where Zencastr has shat the bed royally. It's gone to past the 2-hour mark. Panic, can you still hear me? No, everything is dead. Okay. Give us a second, guys. It's that time again. I'm going to have words with the guys at Zencastr. Because it never stops. It never stops breaking. But we'll have this fixed up in a second. We'll have it fixed up in a second.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome
Zencaster
back.
just crashed. But yeah, so what were you talking
Yeah.
about? What were you talking about?
We were talking about Baby Driver, and I
Baby
was
Driver.
making a joke about the
about
fact that,
baby driving a
is it
car.
Arnold Schwarzenegger family-friendly movie.
No.
What we got?
It's very similar to the movie Drive. It's got that sort of feel to it. What other? It's like a.
I attributed it to kind of like one of those like.
Whoa. Jeff just randomly dropped out of the call entirely. He didn't just. He just flat dropped out. Welcome back.
I'm back. All right, cool. Zencaster just decided to die again.
I just closed out all of. Did you close out all of Chrome? Because sometimes you have to do that shit.
All right, I'll do that and I'll come right back. But you guys can continue the combo.
Yeah. So do you know what Baby Driver is, Panic? You tell me what this is all about.
You remember about maybe 5-10 years ago, they had like a whole slew of like shoot 'em up type movies where you had like Lucky Number 11, and those kind of movies where you'd have like the guy that they're going after, and you have a bunch of like big name other people going after him. Baby Driver's kind of like that. With kind of like a modern heisty feel, I would say. I just watched the trailer, and it seemed like they were going with the cinematography with like the stylistic aspect of it. So it seemed like it would be an interesting movie from that respect.
Yeah,
more of an artistic-y film.
Yeah, I'm happy you didn't make me pass on that because I am sort of looking forward to the movie. It does look like fun
because we get those huge blockbusters. We don't get much like that nowadays.
Smaller, like in the middle, sort of big actors, but not
it's either a
budget.
small movie or an absolutely astronomical budget. There's not a hell of a lot of
it's got like John
middle
Hamm,
ground.
Jamie Foxx, and it's got like a bunch of people in it. It looked really cool. So
so
it looked like they're having fun.
Instead of spending 30 minutes a month. I guess we'll just go and I'll ask you guys which one you're most excited about out of all of them, and if you want to give a quick blurb about that movie, you can. Instead of going over every single movie.
I'll say that almost none of those are particularly interesting to me, to be honest. I would be interested in The Mummy if Brendan Fraser was back in the fucking movie and not Tom fucking Cruise. As soon as I saw, first of all, I saw Tom Cruise and I was like, okay, what is this? Or no, I saw the Mummy stuff happening and I was like, ooh, this is cool. And then I saw Tom Cruise pop up and I went, nope, peace.
What? Is there a reason why you don't like Tom Cruise? He's one of my favorite.
It's not okay.
stars.
So I don't. It's not that I don't like Tom Cruise. It's just that I don't see. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I see why Tom Cruise is reprising or taking the role up in The Mummy because Tom Cruise brings in enough money to pay this movie off. So yes, I see why it's happening, but it is like The Mummy when the first ones came out actually did well in theaters, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I'm not a movie guy, but I'm pretty sure they actually made some pretty fucking good money. And they were probably the height of Brendan Fraser's career, for all intents and purposes, before he had to go do Dudley Do-Right and all the other fucking stupid shit he did afterwards.
Mummy was great.
I liked those movies a great deal. And I don't see... And so it's... Again, I see why, but what I'm going to say it anyway. I don't see why Brendan Fraser isn't just coming back to do The Mummy again. I like Tom Cruise to a point, but for similar reasons that we just harped on Johnny Depp, except he does kind of fun characters. Tom Cruise is Tom fucking Cruise in every movie that he plays, but Tom Cruise isn't really fun. Tom Cruise is just Tom
Cruise. We need a Les
Cruise.
Grossman movie.
He's he's an action star. Sure, that's great. I'm happy for him. But he's just Tom Cruise. He's kind of white bread. He's standing on a fucking soapbox in every scene because he's 4.5 feet tall. We have to take him seriously when he's fighting these dudes that are 7 feet, 350 pounds. It's whatever. That's cool. It's Tom Cruise. But the only movie I've ever watched in my entire life that had Tom Cruise in it is coincidentally one of my favorites because it was the one movie I felt he wasn't Tom Cruise, and that was The Last Samurai. Every other movie I've ever seen Tom Cruise do is Top Gun Tom Cruise. And this is going to be Top Gun, Tom Cruise in the fucking Mummy. The trailer didn't even really look like the Mummy until they ham-fisted you with the Mummy itself. So I wish it was just Brendan. I want to see. I mean, I'm a little biased because I want to see Brendan Fraser come out of the hole anyway. Yeah, I'm sure he has more than one. I'm just saying the ones that the only one I've seen that I consider it not to be Tom Cruise was that. But I also just want. I'm a little biased because I also just want to see Brendan Fraser not be homeless anymore and just fucking give the man something to do as a movie. Please, I like the guy. He's a nice dude.
Well, I mean, he might be a nice dude, but he's, chances are people are not going to rush out to the movie theater to
exactly, which is why I said I understand why Tom Cruise is in it, but it just
and you never know. You never know. He may make an appearance, a cameo of some sort in the movie. I wouldn't be surprised if that is going to be the case. I'm really happy that Tom Cruise. I'm on the totally opposite side of where you're at. I love Tom Cruise. He's one of my favorite actors. You're right. A lot of movies, it's Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise, but it's no different than The Rock playing The Rock. It's no different than Kevin Hart playing Kevin Hart. It's no different than Brad Pitt playing Brad Pitt. I mean,
So it's whether or not you like Tom Cruise at that point.
Exactly. I think, obviously Tom Cruise is batshit crazy with all of his Scientology and stuff like that, but I don't take that into account when I go see a movie.
No, neither do I. No.
I take all of his personal, that's his life. He can believe and do whatever he wants, on all the power to him. It doesn't affect my life. He makes great movies. Almost every movie he's in, besides The Last Jack Reacher, has been a very, very good movie. And speaking of Top Gun, they did announce Top Gun 2, and he's starring in it, so that will be happening. But the Mission Impossible movies, the Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, fantastic.
Edge of Tomorrow is, if you didn't see that, Adam,
one of my favorites.
You need to see Edge of
Tomorrow. I own it on
Blu-ray,
but I haven't watched it yet, so I know that it's
such a filthy casual.
I know that it's good.
My goddamn. It hurts. Like, I almost don't even want to talk to you about movies.
Jeff, you know what I do? I wake up in the morning, I work, and then I just diddle my audio for 9 hours until 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I go to bed.
Literally what you do. For fuck's sake, man. How in the fuck have you not watched Edge of Tomorrow? It is absolutely a masterpiece of a film.
Go put that Blu-ray in after this podcast and just watch it. Oh my
God, Adam. It's so fucking good. It's so... And it's, it's Tom Cruise in a different light for once. It's, if you're all about not watching Tom Cruise play Tom Cruise, it's actually, I mean, it turns into Tom Cruise, but it's a gradual thing.
It's a process.
It's the evolution of Tom Cruise.
It's so good. The guy just makes fire movies. Even Tropic Thunder, he was funny and he was amazing in Tropic Thunder.
Hilarious.
Tropic Thunder is so fucking good.
Almost everything the guy touches is box office gold, and it's typically a good time. When you're spending money in the theater and you're watching a Tom Cruise movie, it's going to be good. I have full faith in The Mummy. I think it's going to be a mega hit, and The Mummy in this movie looks amazing. It looks so fucking good. There's some really cool shots in the trailer. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And that's what summer movie is all about. Is a movie like The Mummy.
I'm gonna ask,
and of course, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to ask the controversial question. Actually, you go first.
Right, I was just gonna say, I was waiting for a time to break in, and coincidentally, somebody actually just mentioned this in chat as I was waiting. There's 2 movies I've seen that I know of that I liked that Tom Cruise is not being Tom Cruise. There's The Last Samurai, and there's Vanilla Sky.
Yeah,
I've actually watched Vanilla Sky.
Yeah, I did.
That was the one with Cameron Diaz, right?
Good. Yeah, it's good. It's a good movie. The Last Samurai is great too. I mean, it's really whitewashed.
I saw Last Samurai the other week when I was on Netflix.
You can't not whitewash when it's Tom Cruise playing a.
Well, Last Samurai was based on actual
but it was supposed to be white. Yeah,
and
there was a white dude.
It was based on a French guy who was in Japan. So there was a white guy.
Yeah. So okay. So Adam is picking what movie was it? No movie.
I'll say The Mummy because I'll say The Mummy because I'll probably go to it anyway.
Okay. Now what about you?
I was going to ask a super loaded question.
Okay,
before
go ahead.
I say my movie. Do we think DC's gonna fuck up Wonder Woman?
No.
Yes.
I saw the trailer. I'm not sure. The trailer looked actually promising, but I feel like DC's gonna fuck it up.
I don't think they're gonna fuck this one up.
I mean,
hope
this is a
not,
knee-jerk
but I feel like they
reaction for
might.
me to say that. But I mean, at the same time, even if they don't fuck it up, is Wonder Woman really the movie that's going to fucking save DC right
The
now?
trailer
Like,
looked,
even
the
if they
trailer
don't,
looked pretty good. Gal Gadot looked
think
like
so.
she could really pull it off.
I think so. I think
Like, I don't mean
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Not in the sense that it's not going to be a good movie. Like, I'm not saying about that. I'm saying, is it going to be the one, like, that saves them from the pit of shit that they've been making in terms of, it's not. I mean, I know. Well, I shouldn't even say that because they've all made good money. I can't even say that much.
Yeah, they've all been.
So I
they've
guess-
all made tons of cash.
So I guess then ultimately the point is whether or not it is a good movie.
If
And
they
so
make
if it is a
quality-
good
if
movie,
it becomes
then
a quality movie or not. Yeah, and I think to answer Panic's question, I think it will. I think it's going to
hope
be
not.
the
Yeah.
first. I think it's going to be the first
good
DC
one.
movie that comes out that people are like, "Wow, okay, I'm on board for the Justice League." Right? This is the setup to get you amped up for Justice League, which I'm actually more excited for Wonder Woman than I am Justice League. I think the Justice League is
same.
going to be a dumpster fire, but we'll see what happens. But the Wonder Woman looks great. I'm waiting for a good woman superhero, and I think Wonder Woman is going to be the one that can do it. I know my wife is a huge Wonder Woman
did
fan.
Black Widow not do it for you, bro?
Well,
Was
she's not-
ScarJo not the hype?
She never got her own
wasn't
standalone
no
film.
movie yet.
She's a big character, but she still sort of takes the back burner among the other Avengers. We haven't got a standalone. They did
She's
talk
like Hawkeye.
about it.
A little bit
Yeah.
more involved.
Yeah.
Hawkeye,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So the Wonder Woman, I think, is going to be good. And this is coming from a guy that has not really enjoyed the DC movies very much. I mean, I've had fun with some of them, but they need some help, and this one looks promising. So there's your answer. What are you most excited for in June?
I'm gonna go with Baby Driver. As much as I hope Wonder Woman's good, the one I'm really hyped about is Baby Driver.
Okay. Yeah, I love me some Jamie Foxx, man. They got, Baby Driver's got a big
John
good
Hamm,
cast.
Edgar Wright directing. Like it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah,
So I'm excited for that one.
I think Baby Driver could be a hit, kind of like how.
I'm gonna say cult classic, maybe.
Oh my God, what's the name of the movie? And they got the second one coming out. The trailer just came out. It's almost like James Bond. It's almost like fuck. God damn.
Oh,
Anyway, I'll think about it. There's a movie coming out that was a big hit. The first one was a huge hit, and then the second one, the trailer just released. Kingsman. The Kingsman.
Oh, Kingsman.
Kingsman.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Somebody just said it in chat.
Yeah,
Kingsman. The Kingsman was
watched
a
that movie.
fucking awesome movie. It was so good, and I think
I watched
Baby
that movie
Driver.
on a lark, and it was hilarious.
I think Baby Driver could be the next Kingsman if done right. It's got that feel. That's like the perfect feel for Baby Driver. Is the first
Based
Kingsman.
on the trailer, I hope Baby Driver's a one and done based on the trailer. Like, I hope they don't milk it.
Well, if they make a
seems
shit
like
ton of
it'll be
money, you
very
know they
good
will. My movie to go and see for June. I mean, I will see all of these movies besides Cars 3. I don't fucks with anime or Despicable Me. I said animation. Oh man, I'm gonna go. Oh, it's a toss up.
Jeff, I'm holding a gun to your head. What are you gonna fucking watch? I'm gonna shoot you.
Wonder Woman. I am most looking forward to Wonder Woman. The reason why I'm picking Wonder Woman over The Mummy is because I know what I'm going to get when The Mummy comes out. I know I'm going to get Tom Cruise doing some Tom Cruise. It's going to be fun. It's going to look pretty. I just know I'm going to have a good time with that. The Wonder Woman, there's a lot on the line. I'm going in with kind of high expectations, but nothing that can't be, done over and where I could leave overly satisfied. There's a lot riding on for Wonder Woman. I think if the Wonder Woman does well, it's going to get me excited for Justice League. It's going to get me excited.
Fix DC.
It will really, and that's all DC needs is one really good movie right now.
They just need to they need to get the ducks in a row, and they need that hit.
Yep, they really do. So I'm going to go ahead and say that, but I'm with you too, Panic. I now that you're really talking about a Baby Driver.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. Yeah.
And just to talk about Transformers just for 2 seconds, the Transformers the last night actually, and I'm not saying this because I'm on that Transformers bandwagon where you just want to shit on Transformers. The last night literally looks like the worst Transformers to date. The trailer is absolutely stupid. You got some girl that looks like a young J-Lo, and he even makes the joke that she's a young J-Lo. She's talking to the camera. It's really weird. It's an olden.
Jeff,
it's a fucking
the real
mess.
question.
Michael Bay.
The real question is
absolute mess.
The real question is: do the black robots know how to read though?
And the yellow robots know kung fu. All of them. It's really bad.
They're universally shit movies. I don't even think they're a spectacle, to be honest with you. I don't like. Some people think that they're really nice. You can show off your home theater with them. I'd rather use Pacific Rim over top of every single
Pacific Rim is great.
Transformers movie. I think they're written
That's
poorly.
The first movie I turned on when my TV came.
You want to know?
It makes me sad, though. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna leave this here. And we're just gonna move on because if we start talking about Transformers, this is gonna
go badly.
It's gonna be 10. It's
the
gonna be
dark
10
side of my ass.
I'm gonna leave this known fact for you and the fine folks at home listening right now.
I know what you're gonna say too.
And this is true. This is true. Yeah. I'm gonna say this. And then
how many, Jeff?
I'm gonna move on.
How many, Jeff?
Michael Bay.
How many? How many are coming?
Michael Bay has 14 Transformers movies written and ready to fucking rock. No! So that your grandkids can still be watching Transformers.
No! I really just don't know how to deal with that. My mind doesn't want to process that number because he's writing. I'm like imagining he's like sitting at his notepad being like, this is fucking gold.
Oh my
God. And then he like shows his mom and his mom is just like, you know what, Mikey? That's amazing. You should go with that. And he did. And somehow someone somewhere was like, yes, we're going to make these movies.
One more time. He has 14 more movies.
How is it even possible?
More? It's possible when they're shit. I mean, and you know what? Even still, if they are piles of turds, which they are, how do you still write 14 of them? And not only that. How do
they keep making them?
How do you physically... Now, Michael Bay is not a stupid person, okay? He reads the internet. He knows people. I mean, even other actors. Shia LaBeouf came out and shit all over the movies. Like, he's like, this stuff is fuck. Michael Bay wouldn't even work with Shia LaBeouf or Megan Fox anymore because they just had enough. Well, Megan Fox is a little different story. They just had enough of the garbage that everybody that is part of these movies know they suck. Even other actors will shit on how bad Transformers is. It just makes $1 billion every time it goes to the box office. But how does Michael Bay physically come out and tell the world he's got 14 more? I mean, if you've got that, just keep it in a vault and just, release these movies once every year or every 2 years. And just keep it there and shut the fuck up about it. I know, keep it in the vault. I get it. Yes,
don't take it out. Just keep it in the vault.
You don't say you've got 14 of them out. Jesus. That just cheapens the cheap of them so much. Anyways, I digress. We move on to July. We're just going to leave that with you guys. 14 of them Michael Bay has got planned and written. All right, 14. Fuck me. July comes. We have got some other big movies. Now, not as many. The funny movie or the comedy movie that I'll say that comes out at the end of June, which is the Emoji Movie, where it's actually emojis, and Patrick Stewart, I think, is the poop emoji in that movie, which is kind of funny. The biggest movies. Now, this is where this might actually be the best month of movies. First movie is Spider-Man: Homecoming. That comes out July 7th.
Spider-Man.
July 14th.
By any chance, did Michael Bay write the 14 Spider-Man movies that we've had in the last fucking 5 years? Just wondering. Because I feel like we've had 14.
Spider-Man: Homecoming, July 14th, we've got War for the Planet of the Apes. Friday, July 21st, we have got Dunkirk, which is the war movie of Christopher Nolan. It is Christopher Nolan's new baby, which we can talk about. And then, of course,
the dumpster fire of... go ahead.
Dumpster fire what?
The dumpster fire that looks like Valerian.
The Valerian?
Also. What
is this?
Yeah. It's like apparently some other like new IP based on book series that they're doing. It's supposed to be like in the vein of Jupiter Ascending. But looking at it, I'm like, this might be another dumpster fire.
So you're saying this is like Hunger Games and
it's their big,
the Maze
it's like
Runner
another,
and all of
their
those
other attempt.
Teeny
Their other
novel
their
movie
attempt
adaptation.
to try to make another blockbuster. Yeah.
Let's not talk about that ever. All right, that can go just die in a fucking in a straight fire.
I'm going to watch Dunkirk.
Oh, you're damn right. If I had to pick one movie out of all those, Dunkirk is the movie I'm going to be going to watch. Of course, has Tom Hardy in there. Harry Styles is in there, which apparently Christopher Nolan says he's a great actor. And there's a possibility he could be the next Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, those are some huge,
Do you think that could reach Saving Private Ryan level? Saving Private Ryan level, maybe on this one.
Massive shoes to fill. Yeah, it looks amazing. It is the I think it is held in France during the World War II. It's like the Battle of 1940. Absolutely. I mean, they don't show you much. They don't give you much. And that's what Christopher Nolan is all about. I mean, his movies are just straight secrecy. You get very little. He lets his score do the selling, his cinematography. He wants you to watch the movie. And him. Yeah, he wants you to go to the movie and enjoy it for what it is. He doesn't want too much out there. So, obviously, because Christopher Nolan doesn't make bad movies, I'm going to watch... I'm going to see them all, but I'm going to go, if I had to pick one, it's an easy pick. I'm going to go and see that. What about you, Adam?
Atomic Blonde?
I don't even think I've heard of that one.
It's supposed
is that
to be
the spy
like
movie?
It's Charlize Theron, supposed to be John Wick type movie.
Yeah, James McAvoy's in that one too, right?
I think so.
I saw trailers for that. It looked okay.
It might be really bad. It might be really bad.
I don't know if I can take Charlize Theron seriously enough in that role. Is probably my problem.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that's another toss-up movie. I think that kind of is in the same vein as King Arthur or something, where it could be good. It could be
an epic thing.
Meh. I don't think it's one people are going to run out to the movie theater and have to go see. I think either word of mouth is going to make that succeed, or it's just going to be meh and it'll do well on Netflix or something like that. But Adam, if you had to pick a movie out of all the ones in July, there's a lot of movies. Which one are you going to see?
Well, as much as I love Patrick Stewart, and believe me, he's one of my favorite people on the planet, not even Patrick Stewart can get me to pay money to go and watch the Emoji Movie in theater, so I'm going to pass on that one. And I was all ready for Dunkirk until you told me about Harry fucking Styles in it, so I'm going to, yes, Christopher Nolan just backed him and said he's a really good actor, and he could be the next... the next Leonardo DiCaprio, which I don't know if he's saying that because he honestly thinks it, or he's got to say it because he has to give people a reason to not immediately write off Dunkirk because Harry fucking Styles is in Dunkirk.
I want to go and say that he didn't directly say he could be the next Leonardo DiCaprio. He's basically, it seems as though he's basically he's trying to mold Harry Styles into sort of his Leonardo DiCaprio for his movies. There's a lot riding on him. He didn't and maybe I said that wrong. He didn't come out and flat out say he's the next Leonardo DiCaprio. He did say he does well in the movie and stuff like that, but the way sort of he's testing the waters with him. And rumor is, talk around it, that Harry Styles could be his next Leonardo DiCaprio. He could be the next, leading man.
Okay, I get
so
you.
to speak.
I get you. So yeah, I mean, if there was a movie I was going to go see, it would be that one. I still don't know how I feel about Harry Styles being in it. When it comes to war movies, there are certain genres. I don't know if I'm the only one that's like this. When there's certain genres of film that I watch, I almost prefer to not know the actors.
You want to just go
in them. I want to be able to go in because certain, depending on how famous the person is or how much I already know them, it has a increasing ability to pull me out of the movie. And if it's a war movie, especially if he's doing it like historically, like he's going for historic accuracy and everything, then the more I want to have the actors be more unknown to me. So Harry Styles is not only is he known to me, but he's part of One Fucking Direction. So it's going to be difficult for me, perhaps, but maybe he kills it, and I hope he does. Maybe this is how Harry Styles.
You don't ever want to root
himself.
for a movie to fail.
Yeah, exactly.
He's also
so,
Harry Styles also isn't the star of the movie. He's in the movie.
No, I understand.
He's one of the ensemble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and the
That's
entire
my pick.
cast is relatively unknown. I mean, the biggest name there is Tom Hardy, and I mean, Christopher Nolan loves Tom Hardy.
I love me some Tom Hardy though.
And
so that's
the great
cool.
thing about Tom Hardy is he's a movie star, but he isn't such a movie star that you just see Tom Hardy, and he does a good job at kind of blending into characters.
He's a chameleon, dude.
Yeah, and you just totally forget you're watching Tom Hardy. So I totally agree with what you said. I'm also, I love movies that are, you kind of see unknowns, but it is hard to make major blockbusters with not having some kind of, star power to help your movie succeed.
Yeah, you gotta have something.
But what's nice about Christopher Nolan is he is the star power, and so the movie will do well just because it's Christopher Nolan. But I'm excited about that. So you said that's your movie, or that's not your movie now?
No, that would be if I was going to one, that's probably going to be the one I'd go to. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Panic?
As much as I love Dunkirk, I'm a huge Spidey fanboy. So I really like the actor, the cast for him. So I'm gonna go watch that. That's my one.
I think the Spider-Man is gonna be. It's got potential to be the best one that we've ever got. It looks great. I love the new Spider-Man. Tom Holland, he's great. He's funny.
Yeah.
I love the new Spidey suit. I like the fact that his eyes move
I like
around.
that they
and gives
warmed.
more,
I like that they warmed us up to him with the Avengers stuff.
with the Avengers, yeah, and of course we got Tony Stark in the movie as well.
War,
We even see Iron Man in there. I'm sure it won't be a big part, but it'll probably be like 2 or 3 scenes where that.
I hope it's not a big part.
No, I don't think it will be. I think he's going to be more of like the Yoda for Spider-Man, where he's going to kind of show him the ropes and give him some tough love and all that stuff. And it's not really an origin story. It's we go back in that time from what we're hearing. We're not rehashing the whole thing. We're just continuing. And I mean, Michael Keaton as the villain. I mean, Jesus, come on. I mean, it's Michael Keaton. So it looks great. I'm on board with you. I would love to see Spider-Man, but I'm gonna go with Dunkirk just because I am a fanboy of Christopher Nolan. But I will see Spider-Man. I'll probably have a lot more fun with Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, it would be Dunkirk for me too.
I will definitely have more fun with Spider-Man, but let's not sleep on. I know this wasn't our movies, but let's not sleep on War for the Planet of the Apes. This
oh no, that's gonna be a
trilogy.
good one too.
This trilogy is absolutely incredible. The last 2 movies of the Apes were just phenomenal pieces
They were
of art.
unexpectedly good.
Oh my God, they're more than good. They're absolutely incredible. We've got Woody Harrelson as the, I guess.
I fucking love Woody Harrelson so much.
And you know what? It's like the thing is he's a villain in this, but he's also the good guy because he's on the human
anti-hero.
side. Yeah, he's on the human side. It's like, do you root for the humans? Do you root for the apes? Which one is good? Which one is bad? It's like an actual conflict where there's no right side. You can't blame the humans for how they're acting, and you can't blame the apes for how they're acting either. And then of course, we've got Andy Serkis as Caesar, and just a great cast. The writing has been phenomenal in these movies. The stories have been great. This is just some of the best. It is the best Planet of the Apes ever. This trilogy is just amazing. I think it's going to be so good. I actually will put this before Spider-Man for me. As crazy as that sounds, I'm putting this ahead of Spider-Man. It's just going to be phenomenal. Can't wait. That is July. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's move on to the last month. Last one, guys. Last one. This is where the quality of movies go down a little bit. When I say a little bit, a whole lot. The first one, which is a huge toss-up, which is it's saying it's a horror movie, and I'm not familiar with the source material. Maybe Tabin is. The Dark Tower. So The Dark Tower is coming out, starring Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey. That is, I do believe, off of an anime or some kind of graphic novel. I'm going to sound totally
research on that one.
Yeah, somebody in chat will happen. I think
the name sounds familiar to me, but I'm not sure.
I think, is it a Stephen King? Is it a Stephen King series? Okay, so I'm wrong on both fronts. Stephen King series. I thought maybe it was an anime, but no, it's Stephen King. I'm just not familiar with it at all. It is apparently a beloved series. I don't know anything about it, so I sound a little ignorant when I talk about it because I just don't know. But I do know it's got two of my favorite actors in it, Idris Elba, who is an absolute stud, and I love the fact that he's breaking out in Hollywood and he's actually making a huge mark in the North American scene instead of just being a UK actor. And of course Matthew McConaughey. I mean, who doesn't like McConaughey's work? I mean, the guy is he's an amazing
I need
actor.
him. I need him to not be Matthew McConaughey in the movie though, because he's starting to get a little bit too one note in
Matty.
his movies. Like when he first made his break out of the rom-com bullshit and he took off like a bat out of hell, it was kind of fresh to see him in his more serious tones and whatnot that he had available to him. And I'm getting that he's starting to settle in, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, doesn't.
Into his Matthew McConaughey.
I need some
some of them
back.
Lincoln
I
commercials?
need to hear. Yeah, I need. Where are you saying this? I feel like you're just throwing that out of thin air. I mean, are you talking? What movies are you talking about where he's kind of acted the same, or
Well, I've only most other than I'm so tired today. Than
Interstellar. There's Interstellar.
Interstellar. Okay, so Interstellar was like when I love him in Interstellar. I love that movie so much. I think it's an incredible film.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a whole bunch of movies afterwards with him in it, other than just watching like trailers and shit or anywhere I see him where he's acting. Ever since Interstellar,
he hasn't done anything overly huge.
No, and this is not like
movies.
It's just whatever he's doing. Like I'm not saying his starring roles or anything like that. Just in general. And again, this doesn't necessarily mean it's his fault. If people are casting him and they say, "Look, we want Matthew McConaughey from Interstellar, where you're playing into your accent that already exists, and you're just going." Maybe that might be it for me. Is that a lot of his roles, they don't require him to really turn off the accent, and so maybe I'm just getting the accent is too much of it or too recognizable, and
You're
I'm
translating the
attaching it to
accent into the character.
into a character, which might be part of the problem for me. So maybe if he gets a movie where he doesn't have to just default into his in real life
surprisingly
accent.
dynamic as an actor.
I love it. I'm not saying. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Matthew McConaughey. I fucking love Matthew McConaughey. I'm just saying that
I feel like
maybe,
I feel like you've watched two Matthew McConaughey movies and now you're like, I think you've watched True Detective and you've loved it, and then you watch maybe two Matthew McConaughey movies and you're judging his last
He's
10
dynamic,
years of work over that.
Lincoln Lawyer and all these
almost
other movies. He's done
every
fantastic
role
work.
that
Well, I'm not
he's been
judging. I'm not
in
judging the
last
last decade of work. What I'm saying is his most recent work is it feels like he's settling into that. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying his entire fucking career has been the one note express. I'm saying that the most recent stuff has started to feel like settling into that. And I also just said, it maybe is that because all of his roles has not forced him out of his accent, and it is a very distinctive. Man, you can't mistake Matthew McConaughey fucking speaking. As soon as you hear the guy, you know it's Matthew McConaughey. If he's into a role where he doesn't get to lean on his real life accent, perhaps then I won't feel like that's the case, and that might be more of the problem than an actual settling of character. But I don't know. Is the role that we're talking about for him coming up here? Does he get to drop his accent, or is he still Matthew McConaughey accent, bro? In this movie, have we even seen anything?
I've watched trailers. I mean, I just don't see what you see. I mean, I've watched almost all of his movies. I actually didn't watch Gold, which is on Netflix. I think I didn't see that. But I've watched pretty much all of them, and I can kind of see what you're saying if we're talking about rom-com, Matthew. But I think after that, I think his roles have been pretty diverse. Mud was great. Dallas Buyer Club, Wolf on Wall Street, Interstellar, Free State of Jones. I mean, it goes on and on. I think those are all, and he hasn't been going in these big blockbuster movies. He's been getting nominated, winning awards. I think his portfolio has been pretty diverse, kind of like a Leonardo DiCaprio type actor, without being in such huge movies beyond Interstellar or
not the super hype, but
not the super hype. So I don't know. Maybe we're just maybe we're on different sides, but I know
like I said, it's probably
the voice.
Yeah,
maybe
it's probably more for me. Honest to God, it's probably more just about the fact that I'm hearing Matthew McConaughey, which like we talked about before with other actors where they play like the same thing. They're playing their real life selves. They're not really turning it on for the camera. Tom Cruise is playing Tom Cruise, and other actors play themselves. Johnny Depp plays Johnny Depp. Matthew McConaughey, because of the accent, for me, as what I'm saying is the odds are the accent's probably making it harder for me to recognize that, despite the fact that he's not necessarily playing I'm not saying he's being typecast. I'm saying that it just feels like, and I'm saying the odds of it being that case, why it feels like that to me is because his accent is so, and his voice is so recognizable, where other actors get to, they go into accents. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, his thing is diverse, but he also gets opportunities where he puts on an accent, and then it's easier to feel different about the character because they even sound different and not just... Okay. Play a different role. But yeah, no, I love Matthew McConaughey.
All right,
I'll let him hit
it.
So what's up next,
There's
Jeff?
the Dark Tower. Wow, we went into some Matthew McConaughey there. Annabelle, the Creation, or Annabelle Creation, which is another installment of the Annabelle, which is in the universe of the other scary movies, The Conjuring. It's in the same Conjuring universe, where it's like the creepy doll. And this one is a prequel of Annabelle, and The Conjurings, so we get to actually see how the doll was created and
this is like a
and
combo.
how the doll became of what it is. So
they're not the shittiest horror movies I've ever seen. Gabs is a big horror film watcher, so I've watched like a slew of really shitty horror films, and the Conjuring movies are probably the highest on the not shit horror movies that I've seen. So that's kind of neat. That's
nice.
I
mean, even the Annabelle movie wasn't horrible. I mean, it was just your standard horror movie, but it had some really cool stuff in it. The first one obviously did really well, and the whole Conjuring universe is great. I mean, it's some of the best. This universe is the best, in my opinion, the best horror movies we've been getting in recent years. So Annabelle will be good, hopefully. And then we've got that's pretty much it, man. That's worth talking about, unless you see something else here.
Hitman's Bodyguard. That's a Ryan Reynolds, one. Sam Jackson.
Oh yeah, shit, yeah. How did I forget about that? Looks like fun, man. That looks like fun.
I saw the trailer for that. I was cracking up.
It's basically Samuel L. Jackson doing literally Samuel L. Jackson, like motherfucker this, motherfucker that. They even you need to watch the movie, or you need to watch the trailer, Adam. Like you.
I don't think I've seen the trailer for this yet. I've seen trailers for everything else, but not this.
I was cracking up.
If you guys, if you're listening to the podcast right now, you need to go and watch The Hitman's Bodyguard, trailer. It is Samuel doing Samuel and Deadpool. That's actually what it is. It is Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool without the suit, and Samuel L. Jackson doing Samuel L. Jackson in a
what a random
movie.
pairing that is. That's so funny.
God.
What a completely random
It's
pairing.
hilarious.
It is absolutely.
It sounds funny. It sounds great.
The trailer's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Gary Oldman's in it. Salma Hayek's in it. There a bunch of people are in it. That's my number. That's my August movie. How did I even not? That's my August movie.
That's my August movie.
Yeah, that's my August movie. Just because I don't know much about The Dark Tower, but maybe it'll be great.
I'm down with that.
I'm going The Hitman's Bodyguard straight up. If you guys haven't watched the trailer, it looks pretty damn funny. So yeah, that is September.
Such a show.
I know that was a long second half, but well, actually, it was about as much as the last.
Well, it was a
half,
carry on
actually.
from last time. We wanted to cover this last week, so we added some stuff and we just went with it for a second half. I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, and you know what? We could have talked about movies a lot longer. I mean, we're going through them pretty quick. But that's from May to August in the video. Let us know what your guys' favorite is. You can even put like May through August. I want to kind of see what's going to get you guys in the theater. Obviously, a moviegoer like me, I'm going to see 95% of all the movies. I even went and watched The Circle last night with Tom Hanks and what's her face from Harry Potter, that little stuck up feminist. Yeah,
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, who's easy
is she
on the
really
eyes,
like a hardcore fourth gen feminist? Like
she is next level. She's
oh
like next.
Wow, okay.
She's next level. So, but anyway, once again, I don't take their personal life into the movies. I go and enjoy it for what it is. So, the movie, if I had to give you guys a rating out of 10, I give it a 5. It was meh.
Rip.
Really, really crazy concept. If you want to think of social media and where it can go, and how intrusive it can be, it's actually, and I think we're like 1 or 2, maybe 3 years max of what is in this movie could actually happen.
Is it Black Mirror the movie?
Oh, well, partly, but it is absolutely, it's thought provoking. You're going, oh my fucking God, like this can really happen, and there's a good chance that somebody will attempt this, and maybe even succeed. So for that very reason, just because of the message that's in the movie, you'll get a lot out of it. And the cast is pretty good. John Boyega's in it from Star Wars. He doesn't have a big role. Tom Hanks plays a perfect villain, like absolutely perfect. This role, I wouldn't say it's made for him because it's not really a great role, but he really brings some legitimacy to the film and doesn't make, because some of the things that are in it kind of makes it seem over the top and maybe stupid, but Tom Hanks really brings it down to a level where it's believable. And it's very,
because
very
it's
cool.
Tom Hanks and he's a god.
Do not go to the theater and watch this movie. This is definitely a great Netflix and chill
it's a home movie.
Yeah, 100%. Do not waste your money in the theater on this. Watch it on Netflix. It's definitely worth an hour and a half or whatever it is. So, but 5 out of 10 in terms of it being a good movie. But yeah, that's it. That's it for movie talk. Because you need to shut me up because I can go. I can keep going.
I'm not shutting up anybody, dude. I've been on cloud 9. I feel like I'm on Novocaine right now. I've been so friggin' tired all day. I've been in another universe. It's partially why I'm talking myself in circles today.
I'm judging you so hard right now.
Brutal
I'm judging
day.
you so hard right now.
Adam,
God.
wake up, motherfucker.
I know it's bad.
You got audio to
It's
fix.
I
know,
gotta
I'm
drag myself out of
constipated.
bed and go to work every morning.
I know.
Shit.
I know. My
So-
violin would be smaller, but my hands are too big. So what do we got for technical support?
Oh
sirs?
shit, I forgot. I thought we were getting
We
ready to
don't- we-
fucking
man,
close
we're-
out.
Fuck no!
I thought
We've
we were
got
getting
more to talk about.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
What's up with these 4
Another
hour
3-hour
podcasts?
podcast.
Who
We gotta-
gives
we
a
gotta-
damn?
we gotta
Everybody's
rope this
listening
in.
to it. Dude, our viewership's been going up like crazy, so let's just keep this train going.
How was our iTunes?
Choo
Did
choo,
we hit that
motherfucker.
3,000 mark?
Dude, not only did we hit 3,000, we hit
wanna-
3,500.
No, we didn't.
Nice.
We did.
35?
I
What-
will say, if you
Dude,
want
yeah,
us to rope that
3,500.
in, comments.
Wow.
And
that
the other
one's
and the
roping
last
the
and And like the three before up to almost 3K if they haven't crossed it by now in this podcast time. I'll check while you guys are looking at questions. I'll give us a real time rundown here.
Wow.
I've got my question already.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, go ahead. Go and ask away.
All right, we're going with technical support from Jamaican Jazz. What is your spirit animal and why? Mr. NovaWar, I'm going to toss that one to you first.
I'm like over here looking at stats. I heard half the question. Okay, my spirit animal?
Yeah, what and why?
Does it have to be okay, I'm guessing because this is a bit of a memey question. I'm going to guess that it doesn't actually have to be an animal specifically. I'm going to say that shit. That's a tough question. That's one you always have to think about, like for a while. Spirit animal. What would that be?
Just something that comes to your mind. Obviously, there's got to be an animal that just kind of comes to a mind.
If I guess are we going to stick to animals? So we can stick for sure animals. And
well,
I guess
some kind of other living being. I guess.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, so my spirit animal would be like. I almost want to relate it to movies, like a character from a fucking movie that's just so over the top.
No, it's got to be an animal.
It's got to be an animal, though? Okay,
yeah,
so my spirit
creature.
animal, I guess, is... let's go with... the honey badger.
The honey badger. Now, why are you picking the honey badger?
Because, as the saying goes, the honey badgers just don't give a fuck.
I was shaking my head the moment you said it. I was
I'm going honey badger.
Okay. The honey badger.
Somewhere if you could hybrid, okay, I'll do this. If you could hybrid in some weird fucked up reality, a honey badger and a sloth. Those are those two together. That would be so the most aggressive sloth I guess of all time is a honey badger sloth.
Okay. All right. What about you, Panic?
I don't know. I kind of feel like I empathize with the red panda a bit. Like
everything
everyone
startles
loves
you.
Red pandas. Yeah, well, that too. But like, no, they're everyone loves red pandas, but they are not successful as a species.
The panda family in general is just terrible.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I just felt like the moment I saw Spirit, I'm like, red panda, I think.
All right. Well, if I had to pick, I'd probably go with the hyena. If I had to pick an animal. I feel as though the hyena has a lot of energy. It laughs a lot. It can be very aggressive when it needs to be. I feel as though the hyena it stays with its pack, so it's very family oriented, like a Fast and Furious movie.
What about this? Jeff getting deep.
Well, I
was like, I don't give a fuck, and I'm lazy. Jeff's like, they're pack animals, so they're like family.
Well, I'm answering the question. The guy pays his fucking Patreon money. I'm giving it to him.
Family.
Shit. I'm all about the fam.
All right, go on, Vin Diesel.
Family.
All right, so yeah, I feel like the noise they make, like the laughter. So they can be dark and aggressive. They're in packs. They seem like they can be just full of energy if they need to be, or just be grumpy and salty if they need to be as well. So if that's an animal that just come to mind, I was gonna go and say like a monkey or something, but that's just too easy. And we all kind of come from monkeys anyway, if you believe in that. So, I'm gonna say the hyena.
Okay, all right.
So there you go. So
amazing.
I put a lot of
solid answer.
Time and effort into that, and I didn't even prep that shit. That shit was off the cuff.
Say off the dome.
Off the
Off the dome.
All right. So who was that? Who is that question from?
That was from Jamaican Jazz.
Jamaican Jazz. All right.
I believe
Jamaican.
he picked up one of our higher tiers recently.
He is a $100 supporter.
Hundo.
That's why I go above and beyond when I answer these questions.
Oh, okay.
Let me see here, man. Oh man, I'm gonna go with man. Okay, well, I guess I'll do this just because I kind of it's already a reality for me. Stefan Simic, if I'm pronouncing your name right, who is a $10 supporter. He says, "What is your favorite / dream car? If you could buy one, dream car for $100,000 or less, what would you buy? Favorite dream car for $100K or less." And I can start because I just bought my dream car.
Son of a bitch.
I just ordered the 2018 Mercedes-Benz AMG C63S Coupe. That was before I got that car. My dream car was always the M4. I've been driving a BMW, like a 1 Series for like almost 4 years, and I was going to get the M4 because I always wanted an M car. They're just absolutely incredible. So I did some research on the cars, and I fell in love with the AMG for a number of reasons, and I won't get into too many of them right now, but the AMG has got more horsepower. It is a heavier car. It's got more torque. It's faster in the quarter mile, and anything lower than that. It doesn't quite outdo the M4 on the track because the M4 is a track car. The handling on the M4 obviously is better. But for an everyday driver, the V8 twin turbo, it just sounds incredible. The M4 has fake exhaust sounds coming through the speakers. Still a beautiful engine in there. Still goes like crazy. Still a dream car of mine. But the mixture between the luxury of the Mercedes, what you get on the inside, it really feels like you're driving a luxury supercar, opposed to the M4, where it does look nice on the outside, but the inside is very bare bones. They do have the beautiful M stitching, but you also get that in the AMG. Just for so many reasons, I went with the AMG and I was sold over it. And this is coming from a fanboy that always wanted the M4. I took them both out for a drive, did my research, and the C63S Coupe is the dream, and it's no longer a dream. It will be a reality come July 17th when the shit is built, coming out of Germany, and will be delivered to my black ass. And I actually just went out today and got the GoPro Hero 5 and the Karma stabilizer, a few other things, so that I can do some car vlogs, go to the Cars and Coffee stuff, bring back some moto vlogs, and all that other stuff. So the AMG C63, guys, an amazing piece of technology, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. That's my pick.
Panic, do you know what you want to say?
Yeah, it's gonna be the Shelby GT350R. It's pretty much I've always wanted a Mustang. You know, it's either that or like the Vet Z6, but I feel like in my heart I just really want that Mustang. I'm never gonna get it. I'm more of a practical person, but
Yeah.
if a dream car, it's gonna be the Shelby GT.
Beautiful. American muscle.
I don't know if in the day you could get it for under $100,000. Probably, if not, it was close because it was kind of like a beefier version. But the one that I would want to have is the 1999, specifically the 1999 Dodge Viper ACR.
I knew it was coming.
Isn't that the one?
You
that
know,
they
I'm a
wrote the
Viper
Craigslist
guy.
ad
I've been a
for?
Viper guy my whole life.
I know you're a
My
Viper
whole
guy.
life I've been a Viper guy. So you know, I own models of the Viper that are still upstairs. Like I'm a Viper guy. So the 99 Viper ACR, I loved the body of the 99 model. I liked, how the fuck did I get ink all over my thumb? What the fuck? I loved the body back then. 96 through 99 were my favorite model years for the Viper body. It was still an absolute fucking animal that would kill you if you drove it, and it would probably light your pants on fire every time you open the door and get out of the car, and all the other nonsense that comes along with owning a Viper. It's just a big honking V10 engine that if you gave it to a European, they'd have 1,000 horsepower, but because you're American, you can only get 460. So it was 400. I think it was 460 horsepower, 500 foot-pound of torque. Just an awesome beast. Is something that you sit at a light and you shake the 10 cars that are around you type shit, right?
Yep.
And it's not a car that holds your hand. It's a car that you can fix with some fucking WD-40 and duct tape. It's not got 60 computers strapped to it. It's not a super high tech whatever the fuck. It doesn't have 1,000 turbos to make its brake horsepower. It's just the way that it is. It's just it's a car that was, its legacy is literally being built in a fucking barn. This is the Viper. So it's the anti-car of today, where everybody wants to have such a high-tech vehicle, and there's all these things that make cars better. But at the end of the day, I just want to have a car that you can still easily build by hand, and just have it be a fun car to drive. And that's only a fun car to drive if you know how to drive a car.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and you could
you
get
just
that
die.
car for under 100K now, obviously.
Oh, easily 100. You probably get a 99 Viper ACR for under 50,000.
Yep.
So you get
well
something
under
like
it,
that.
yeah.
I will never own it because I can't drive manual, physically incapable. Like I can't, my knees will not go under the wheels to be able to. It would be dangerous for me to drive a Toyota Corolla with a fucking manual, let alone a Dodge Viper in manual because of the length of my legs. My knees go up both sides of the fucking
car is
wheel. It's just
actively
impossible.
trying to kill you. You probably want to make sure you have some semblance of control.
Yeah, so I'll never be able to, but that would be my pick for sure. Love Vipers, absolutely love Vipers.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that because you always talked about Vipers. So I've never been a huge Viper guy, but there is one that I have seen here several times, or the black one that I've seen driving around here, and it's always a head turner for sure. You see it and you're like, ooh, fuck, and I mean it sounds beastly. So
is it an older one? Because I know there's like an SRT 10 that's here.
It's an older one. I haven't seen it probably in 3 or 4 years, but when I was living out in Spry, I would see it fairly often, like probably once every 3 months or so. So the guy obviously lived kind of around the area or went in there for some reason. So it always looked nice. I wouldn't complain to take one for a rip for sure. Be a lot of fun. I mean, they are exactly what you said. They're beasts. They're meant to be driven.
A lot of people like to poke fun at the Viper because it's like, oh, it's like the stupid car. It's like it's for whatever reason, especially Corvette fans, they they'll be like, oh, the Viper wears the dunce cap type shit. And for whatever reason, I had no idea, because the Viper has always been a very good car that put cars in the ground that were $300,000 and $400,000, and the Viper is like an $80,000 American car. And that got even crazier now with the Vipers that they make now that have records on racetracks and they're street legal. So people have this stigma around the Viper, but it's a fun man's car for sure. So 99 Viper ACR, no question.
So there it is. Well, there's the 2 questions. Don't forget, guys, there's a lot of people that are $10 and higher, like a ton. And we only usually get like maybe 10 questions or so. If you guys are submitting questions and you've done it for previous weeks, we don't go back and pick questions from that week. If it didn't get answered, then you can re-ask the same question on that Patreon, and that's how you do it. So Adam posts up a little banner. It says this week's Technical Alpha, and then in the comments, that's where you drop them. So go ahead. If you're $10 or higher, you have the ability to drop a question there. Make it as good and appealing as possible, and you'll have a good chance of getting it picked. And also, before I give this to Adam to sign us out, when we do hit that 5,000 mark, we are going to sit down and do more technical tech support.
A ton of questions.
Answer a lot more. So I know we only can do 2 a week right now, which is 8 a month. We're going to do an extra 4 a month. So we'll be able to answer more questions because we're going to take out another night and record those off of the air and then release them. Those will be available to everybody, by the way. Those will be released on YouTube. So even if you're not participating in $10 or higher, you're helping us get towards that goal. Everybody's going to be able to watch it. It's not going to be through a paywall or anything like that. So that's it.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can, well, first of all, thank you for listening as always. You guys have been amazing, and we appreciate everybody spreading the word about the podcast. Our numbers have been going up at a very good rate, faster than I think we thought they were going to, for sure. So, that's been absolutely fantastic, and we appreciate all the help you guys have been doing. Writing those reviews is still the number one way of doing it, and it's working. So, the more reviews you guys can put out for us, the better it is for sure. I'm also going to remind you guys that Jeff and I believe next Friday will be our first shot in the dark at the Retro Versus series. And once again, that is going to be Jeff and I randomly picking a game off of his shelf of infinite retro games in his room, and then playing them for a bit, and then we're going to have a couple of those a month. And you'll be able to get access to those videos exclusively on Patreon at the $5 tier and higher. Anybody and everybody in there in that segment will have access to it. So you can look forward to that. And if you want to buy into that, then get to it.
And we'll post a clip on YouTube to tease them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can kind of see what you get. But they've got the verses before, so they know what they're going to get. What they're getting, but this is straight up retro, and we're playing with the actual retro controllers and shit, so it'll be cool.
Absolutely. And again, also going to thank everybody for getting us to the goal so that we released that DLC podcast today. That went out through the RSS feeds and onto YouTube as well. So if you're listening to this and you're like, what are you talking about? Then if you didn't hear the podcast a couple of weeks ago, we ended up doing a bonus segment where, it was to be honest, it's mostly Jeff and I talking about our early... Oh, okay, again? This is 2 weeks in a row! The timing! But yeah, we talked about our entire opening part of our YouTube career and the absolute shit show and $30,000 scandal that we had with Machinima. So if you want to go back and listen to it, it's on iTunes and everywhere else all the same. You'll be able to watch that on YouTube as well, where we discuss that, and it's definitely worth a listen for sure if that interests you. So, as always, let's wrap her up by thanking our Patreon producers. I'm going to give a big thank you to Beastall, Mr. Miyagi, that $500 and $250 tiers, like it's just pocket change. Also, got to give a big thank you to Adam B, Toad of Steel, Naily, J.A., Derek P, Jonathan A, Fricey, Ice Wolfie, Draco, and as we've already mentioned earlier in this cast, Jamaican Jazz. Thank all of you guys.
Crazy.
But also, I don't have the thing updated yet because I didn't know Jeff did this until now. But Jeff's opened up 5 more spots. So 5 more of the $100 tier will be open, which means your name could be here as well. Lots of people have been, kind of pining to get into that tier. So there are now 5 more spots. Go fill them if you please. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been another Technical Alpha. Thank you once again. We will see you guys next week, same time, same bat channel. And until we do see you, peace!